It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott's here. Richard Campbell's here. We're going to take a trip down memory lane, talk about their first computers. Also a big patch Tuesday. Actually, not so big. And Paul likes it that way. Plus, doing development with AI. There have been a lot of developments, if you will. And Paul will talk about that too next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell, episode 974, recorded Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. Do-it-yourself Crocs. It's time for Windows Weekly. Hello, you winners. Hello, you dozers. Look who's here, back in their native environs. We give you Paul Thurrott in the duck blind. Hello, Paul.
The duck blind.
Yeah, I don't know
Nice.
where you are. He's in Mexico City. He's in MXCDN or whatever.
CDMX.
CDMX.
The DF.
Ciudad
as we used to say.
de Mexico, Mexico. Hi, Paul. We missed you.
Yeah, I mean, I
beautiful
wanted to go to
Orlando.
Florida so bad, but
You really did.
I was here.
We saw gators. That's, by the way, the guy who did go. As you know, he did the show from beautiful Orlando at Zero Trust World, Mr. Richard
From the show
Campbell.
floor.
It was fun. Yeah, they I think they want us to do it again next year, and this time we're going to make Paul go. But I said, you know what? We really should be sitting somewhere like where you can like see.
Yeah, maybe
the
next
rest
year
of
have
the
it in
show.
like
All
New
we had is
Orleans
a blue
or
screen behind you. Right?
Austin. You know, someplace
Well, I
else.
think they do it in Orlando because that's where they are. That is
Okay.
a very
Actually
tiny
local.
Richard Campbell sitting there. That's what it looked like.
It's like Richard Campbell, but he's mini.
Mini me.
Yeah, you go.
Mini Richard. It was a lot of fun. And then Richard had his silver lame space shirt for the con.
Yep.
Should I show a picture of the two of us at the party?
Oh, absolutely.
There is a good picture. We had, by the way, Richard took us to the Kennedy Space Center, and that was an incredible tour you did, Richard.
Thank you.
I got to listen to your geek outs on Run Us Radio or .NET Rocks because I
.NET
don't
Rocks,
use it to
yeah.
geek out
Yeah.
all about space.
There's about 30 space ones. So,
The Final Frontier. I have, let's see, where's this picture of us at the party?
That was a fun party.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I guess I don't have it on this machine, so I can't.
right.
But
One thing I learned about Leo Laporte is you put a spacesuit on him. He's all in.
I'm a wild man. Oh, here it
all
is.
in.
Here it is. Here it is. This is me and Richard having a chat as one does. I'm in zero grav.
Yeah, you're floating. And I look like I'm ready to be stuffed into a microwave and pop.
You look like the worst Elvis impersonator I've ever seen. And I got to say, it's kind of a good look.
Richard, so I thought for sure that there would be a lot of other spacesuit garbed fellas.
Yeah.
And
There was one other spacesuit.
yeah, and he was inflatable.
Yeah.
And then
There
there
you
was this stormtrooper, chubby stormtrooper. That was fun. And then they had that thing, with a crane.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody said, "Can you be in our picture?" So I had to stand there for like half an
We
hour,
were busy for a while.
pretending that I was part of the scenery. Here I am with the Powder Puff Girls.
I think that's Sailor Moon.
Oh, is that Sailor Moon? Oh
Yeah.
God, thank you for correcting me on that.
Well, and I only know because my eldest was totally into Sailor Moon when she was 6.
Yeah,
These
thank
are
you.
adult women. Anyway, thank you, Sailor Moon. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin says it's Sailor Moon. He knows too.
Awesome.
Thank you to Threat Locker for hosting us out there. We had a good time. I think they were so happy they said, we're going to do it again. Maybe in Vancouver. They have an event
There
in
you go.
Vancouver.
That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be good.
Yeah.
It's in May, though, and I don't know if we're available at the date. So
I don't know if I'm available in May.
yeah.
He's like,
you have to be scheduled at years in advance, I'm sure.
Well, especially that spring, that window there. Like, what am
Is
I
that a big
doing
one for
in
you?
May?
Yeah.
usually. I mean, this year they moved build though.
They did, but I'm committed to
This is crap.
first week of June. So
Do you have a scheduler, or do you do this manually?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
But
must
thank
be
goodness for
hard.
TripIt.
TripIt. See, I
TripIt
moved
is
off
my
TripIt
savior.
because I am getting old because I get irritated. And I got irritated. They said, you can't log in. I have a TripIt Pro account unless you turn off your ad blocker. And I said, I pay you.
Yeah.
I pay you for this service.
No,
and
I would cut it if they did that to me too, but they never have.
Yeah. Well, so I said, fine. You're not getting my money anymore. And I found something else. All right, enough of that. Enough of me. As much as I enjoy talking about
Enough of me.
we're here to talk.
That's rather harsh, Leo.
Yeah. What do you think of me?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Windows 11.
Yeah.
Yesterday was Patch Tuesday.
Tuesday.
iPatch Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get the memo.
I have how do I say this? I'm kind of happy with the way this year is going for Windows.
Oh,
And the reason I say that is
Who are
because-
you and what did you done
that's
with my
unexpected.
Paul? Yeah. What?
Oh, don't worry. Microsoft will screw it up for me pretty soon. But it's been a light year, right?
Yeah, I see. So it's good when they don't do anything.
Yeah, because too many updates is chaos. And this month and last month, and I forget January. I feel like January is pretty light too, but I feel like we've gotten 1/10 the number of feature updates that we got last year at this time, So we'll see if it continues. But Patch Tuesday didn't deliver anything unexpected. If you've been watching the show, we've talked about these things 10 times, maybe. I don't know, half a dozen times. So this is the update with the network speed tests, which by the way, I just did. My speed here is now faster than it used to be. I have a gigabit down and 600 megabits up or whatever.
Nice.
Sorry. If you have a camera that supports tilt and pan controls, you'll see that inside of the settings app. RSAT improvements, that quick machine recovery improvement we talked about recently, the ability to use WEBP images as background wallpaper, Emoji 16.0, sysmon, right? The Mark Rizinovich tool.
Yeah. Which, you ought to be using anyway, but okay. Now it's there.
Slightly easier way to install it, but honestly, there's still multiple steps. It's complicated, but it's okay. If you need it, it's there. So yeah, it's good. So uneventful is how I would describe it. Other than I just found out my connection got faster. That's cool.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
good. Funny, I just helped a neighbor get fiber put into their place. He's just anxious about the whole thing. So he's like, you know what, Jan, I'm just going to spend the day with you on the install day,
right?
And talk to the
So
guy.
nice
And
of you.
boop, boop, boop. Easy to do for me, right? And and he's like, that's it. That's all it was. It's like, everything went well, friend. That's how it goes sometimes. If it didn't, it would have been harder, but it went well.
I don't remember if it was 1995 or 96, maybe. We got Phoenix was one of the first cities in the U.S. to get a cable modem.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Those
because it was
were
flat,
magical
right?
times.
So it's easy to deploy. And I got it on day one, literally Monday morning at 9 a.m. And it was like the Intel bunny suit guys showed up. Literally, guys were wearing those white suits and walking around my house, and they were doing stuff. They were at the line. They were testing things. They had a guy up the block testing things. I'm like, what is this scientific process? I'm just trying to get the internet,
Yeah.
And now it's like a
Apparently the internet's
self-service thing.
radioactive. So.
Yeah, now they
Yeah.
don't even roll a truck. You just do it.
No, you just get it. It just happens,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, this was actually pulling a fiber into the building, and then it had to be demarked down and stuff. There was some stuff, and there's a few decisions that need to be made, and he's sort of. I can see why Jan would have been a little intimidated. So
What's
it's
it like
listen,
getting fiber in
Here,
Mexico?
here, and here.
That
Do
must
it like
be
that.
interesting.
That is what we have.
Yeah,
So,
how did you get it though? I mean,
well, if you go outside and look at the wires outside, you'll see there are spider webs of
you just pick
thousands of lines.
one.
And I was just talking, Stephen Rose just showed me a picture he had taken when he was here last year, which is a corner we cross all the time, and there's a wire, and it's got a little bunch ball thing. It's just sitting there. It's like literally at eye height, And so I sent him a photo of it later, saying thinking of you, thinking of you. But you'll see these wires everywhere, and it's pretty clear that when something goes wrong here, if they have to do anything, they just don't try. There's no way to troubleshoot, so they just run another
Just
wire.
lay another wire.
So like I'll be walking down the street and there's like a wire like that, and I'm like, I think I know why the internet's out. It's like, just like lick it,
So by switching to fiber, they're saving lives. You just can't electrocute yourself.
Yeah,
with
it's too thin to hang yourself with.
But don't look down the barrel, right? I know.
No, I don't know.
I have eyesight problems from looking.
Oh,
down.
geez, that would okay, I could see that. Well, okay. So the wires that are hanging like that probably aren't working. So I guess it would be safe. But yeah, in an actual
How do you know? Well, just look down the wire.
Yeah, did you go blind? Yeah, it's working.
Is there any light down there? The tunnel?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think because it's not visible. Is it visible? I'm not sure.
It should be. I would imagine it's a red. Isn't it a red light? He
said it was because he didn't know really that he was looking into it.
Like when there's an eclipse and you shouldn't look at the sun, like a certain Nimrod.
It's like it was all infrared or something.
Don't look at the sun. What, that sun? Yeah, that one.
That sun. I can't see.
Okay.
I see a spot.
Oh yes. Oh geez. So by the way, I just
is the papaya man outside?
No, that's the garbage girl.
No, yeah, that's love it. No, that's the junk truck. So today is GDC.
Richard, you know the sound of the junk truck.
Oh no, yeah, she dropped by every day.
Focus for a second there. Microsoft is announcing information about Project Helix, which we're going to talk about later, which is the next Xbox. And I guess we'll have to do this at the end of the show at the normal time, but it's actually happening right now. So this just occurred.
Do you want me to tune in and we could put it in a little box?
There's no way to do that. Yeah, it's not live. I'm hoping there's going to be a video later, but they're doing 2 presentations at GDC and they just announced a bunch of stuff. So we'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah, I know what you're, okay. You'll have more information by the end of the show.
Yep, it just popped up in my face, courtesy of my coworker.
That's what was distracting. I thought it was the junk lady.
No, that stuff. That's just background.
That's just background.
That's normal Mexico City stuff.
Yeah, not to get sidetracked by that, but we were just talking about this with some people who were visiting. One thing I think that would shock people from the United States here is how often they do things like that. Yeah. So there's a garbage truck that comes around, there's multiple garbage trucks, but they collect the garbage here between 5 and 7 times a day.
Wow.
Every day.
Wow.
And if like in the United States, you wake up late and you did put out your trash,
you're in
truck
trouble.
Just left.
Yeah.
You have a whole week to go. Here, you have an hour, maybe 2 hours. No problem.
Another one. It's like a bus.
It's astonishing. So that you would think, like, why would anyone need the junk truck? Well, what you should be asking is why would you need it 7 times a day? Because they come by all the time. It's very strange. Anyway. Okay,
clean city though. As a result,
it is very clean. That's the thing. Like for a city this size, and I'm sure this is not true in some areas, but we've never seen like a rat or anything disgusting. I mean,
that's probably why they pick up the garbage every time. All the time.
Yeah, it's pretty clean.
Nice.
Okay, sorry.
Back to Helix. No, we don't want to do Helix.
No, let's hold off on that because I gotta during a break. I'll catch up on this and try to figure out what's going on here.
For sure, it's exciting. Let's continue with Patch Tuesday. How about that?
Yeah, well, we're done with Patch Tuesday, so that's
done.
Everything.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah, I guess is it a good thing when there aren't many patches, or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing.
Say yes.
Well, the operating system's just so darn stable.
Well, I based that assessment on the past 3 years of updates, and yes, I would much rather have a month like this than some of these crazy months where it's just 117 new features and. They'll roll out whenever they roll out. Don't worry your pretty little head. It will happen on some schedule. But anyway, this is good. So this, to me, is good news.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because on the one hand, many patches means they're fixing a lot of bugs. And it's going to,
there's patches and then there's new features, right? So
we don't want a lot of new features. That's...
You guys, Richard will remember, I think Leo might too, they renamed or they changed the way they name their patches, right? Mm-hmm. So for a long time, we referred to these monthly updates as cumulative updates, which they still are. They're still cumulative, but now they're called security updates. And I guess that's simpler, but they also have new features. So I don't know why they call them that. But now they're security features or security updates. So whatever.
Well, and I think that whole play there is so you'll install them because they're security updates. The fact that it changed the shape of your search bar on the taskbar kind of puts a lie to that. But okay.
I feel like we have terms for when there's a payload that you didn't ask for that's part of something you need.
Yeah, that's not right. Yeah.
Smallware, right? I mean, come on. But anyway, Windows, whatever. Okay. And we had a set of Windows Insider builds late last week after the show last week. Canary build added nothing new. You know, what else is new? And then the dev and beta builds were identical again, and actually pretty light on features, right? In fact, most of them I would describe as, well, 2 improvements and then 1 reintroduction of a feature. So remember, we talked last year about administrative protection, which is going to be very disruptive. They were just about to deploy that in 25H2, and at the last second, we're like, I think this needs a little more fine tuning. So they've added it back to dev and beta. So this is, these are 25H2 builds. It's going to be disabled by default, obviously. So you can now go back and enable that if you want and see what that looks like. It's going to look terrible.
This hints at to me, Paul, that there's a reorg going on a few weeks ago. And so there's just not been a lot of code written right now while they're resorting.
Well, we also had that kind of promise from Pavan Davalori that the focus this year was going to be more on kind of the fundamentals and, shoring up performance and reliability, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean,
so
maybe
at some point, probably in January, he sort of said to the team, hey, you're welcome back from holidays. Finish what you're working on, and let's talk about what we're going to do next.
Right.
And they're in a planning cycle, or they were on a planning cycle. They could be coding right now. There's always like a 6-week lag here, right? When you
well, and I think there was a 6-week lag on that revelation about the focus for this year. I mean, that wasn't something they just invented that second. They've been, look, they see the feedback. I mean, they seem to be immune to a lot of it, but I think once it piles up enough, and especially if it comes from their enterprise customers, they have to make some.
Well, I think they got a new leader who's less immune and read through some of those things, and also set off his own personal bomb. And now it's not a bad thing. This, to me,
I would say he was more the target of a bomb than he set one up. But whatever, however you want to describe it, it's fine. But yes, he was certainly at the center of a big controversy last October, November. But
it was more of a burst of rage, not even really directed at Windows per se, directed at AI.
So, I guess apropos of nothing almost. I was, as you guys know, not very happy with the way people treated him at that time. I thought that was just terrible. I mean, it was just horrible. He's a human being, I just thought it was awful. But I will say, sometimes with people, like in just personal relationships, you don't really realize something's wrong. And then there's an outburst.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, crap, this was worse than I thought. Maybe I should start paying attention. It's possible that visceral, terrible reaction to the ancient stuff in Windows 11 caused a little bit of soul searching. I don't want to suggest that makes it okay. I just want to be super clear it's not. But interesting. Interesting that it is happening.
Maybe I'm the forever optimist on all of this, right? You said a senior eyes who wants to make a difference, whose first move was to reunify the teams. Like, I'm excited. And this lull speaks to a reorg.
Yeah. I'm impressed by your optimism, by the way. You've been around as long as Leo and I, and I'm ready to just drive this car off a cliff.
Listen, ever since I gave up hope, I felt a lot better. Right? It's much easier.
Right. Just stop trying. It'll be fine.
Yeah. If you set your expectations low enough, nobody can disappoint you.
So administrative protection, part of this dev and beta build. Also, some tweaks to the drag tray, which is now the very first thing I disable in Windows. I hate it so much. And then some fixes to File Explorer related to using voice typing for renaming files, and also that flashbang effect when you launched a new Explorer window and it would like go white, which is awesome when you're in dark mode, by the way. It's awesome no matter what mode you're in. But anyway, so there's that. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, so, this is a hint of the future, right? So what we're looking at here is probably April's Patch Tuesday update, right? I mean, there could be more. I mean, there's other builds and things, but again, you look at this stuff and you're like, okay, so this is for admin protection. We know about it. Like, we had used it for a little while last year, if you were in the Insider program. And then just refinements to things. It's like, yeah, nice. Like, this is what these updates kind of should be, right? I don't think they should have to occur. I don't actually think we have to get new features every month, but whatever. In the system we have, not horrible, I guess.
Yeah, and I hope that in this rethink that they're going through, what are the big bugbears? What's hard to take on? Let's pick a big one.
Yeah,
and continue to do your light refinements because that's always a good thing. And
I think it would be instructive for the Windows team today, and also anyone who uses Windows who cares about this stuff, to go back and look at what Microsoft did with Windows 8 on the desktop side, because we lost complete track of all of it. There was a bunch of stuff. I believe that was the first release to have Hyper-V on the client. Major performance improvements to File Explorer. I'm just going off the top of my head. I don't remember everything, but those kinds of things, they got overshadowed by the Metro stuff, right? Just like today, those kinds of features or fixes or improvements, whatever, are going to be overpowered by all the AI nonsense and the Copilot crap and whatever it is. But and we're still going to get that stuff. I mean, it's kind of no way around that. But when I look at look at the lists here, right? I mean, from Patch Tuesday, it's like sysmon, RSAT, quick machine recovery. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is like, these are not like, oh, we're doing a 3D paint program. Like, I mean, these are like, foundational things. Like, this is good. So, like I said, I like what I see here. So that's good.
Hey, you know what? If you're messing up File Explorer, you're doing something wrong. You want to pick something to make everyone happy that they're going to feel every day. Make File Explorer not suck.
Right. And then you could use, I've recommended a utility that can revert File Explorer to the version from Windows 10 or Windows 7, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Windows 8. But and when you do that, a little uglier, and it performs approximately 20 times faster. And you're like, okay, so, the newer one is pretty, it's fine. It looks nice. It's modern. But man, the thing before, this is just app performance, not file copy performance, but it's just garbage. This app is hot garbage. So yeah, this is a good area for them to start working on stuff, like real stuff, not, adding some Copilot integration or something, which you're also doing, which is terrible, but whatever, fundamental changes.
Get past that initial burst of rage and talk realistically about that Pavan response. It was, why are you working on this when there's so many other things to fix? Yeah.
And this is for me, an adult lifelong kind of conversation, because I could write any story about anything related to Microsoft. Microsoft adds XX feature to the new Outlook, and then someone or many someones will reply, but why didn't they ...
Yeah.
And, Microsoft is a company, Windows is an organization, whatever it is. Windows is a product, right? Is big and complicated enough that you can rest assured that whoever is adding some Copilot mode to something is not the person fixing low-level File Explorer features. So they are doing both. Sorry, but but when Pavan in this case made the announcement or pre-announced, and then they did the talk at Ignite about agents in Windows 11. This is strategic for the company. This is big news. It's a big change for Windows, assuming they can pull it off in a good way. Should he have tweeted, we're also making fundamental changes to the low-level security, reliability, whatever of Windows? Maybe, but I don't know that would have generated a lot of news.
Right. But is that really your mission, to generate a lot of news?
Well, I mean,
this is the problem with an operating system. The goal is to not be noticed.
It is, but you also have to. So, as we watch AI evolve, right, you'll see, in fact, we'll talk about some of this today. Anthropic will announce some feature. And that day or the next day, OpenAI, Gemini, Copilot will all announce the same feature. And, right. And because of this kind of situation or whatever, you're seeing this with operating system platforms as well, where the two phone systems we have out in the world, they're obviously racing to get AI in there. And we have 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, desktop platforms. And same thing, right? So you can't, Windows is already frumpy enough, you can't get, as much as we hate it, and I hate it, the AI stuff, you can't,
frumpy.
It's old fashioned, right? You can't ignore it. Like we've said this a lot, like that, this is where a lot of this AI stuff should be, right? At the orchestrator level. It makes sense that an operating system would have AI functionality. So, I know I say that knowing a lot of people don't like it, but it, if you can get over it, it does make sense. So last week, I don't remember, I think we did discuss this briefly, but Google released a quarterly Android update, which is a QPR, right? A quarterly platform release. So it was quarterly platform release 3 plus a
They are more Microsoft-y every day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you, almost on a daily basis, I'll get something from Google where I'm like, yep, you're the next Microsoft. No, it's almost perfect.
Yeah.
This introduces the desktop mode that we've talked about on and off over the past year or so, right? So this is, if you're familiar with Samsung DeX, they actually partnered with them on this. If you have a supported Android device, right now it's recent Galaxy S phones and recent Pixels. You can plug in a USB monitor, and instead of just mirroring the display, you'll get a pop-up that will say, do you want desktop mode or do you want to mirror the display? And in desktop mode, if you have a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, you get a desktop environment, floating windows, taskbar, status bar at the top, etc. So at the time of the announcement, I tested this on my Pixel phones, and it's fine. Like, it works, it's fine. And then just this morning, I was just in the kitchen making coffee, whatever. We have a Pixel tablet sitting on a stand that is basically just a smart display, and I was like, wait a minute, this thing must have this too. What does it look like on there? Because this is a good preview of what an Android laptop will look like later this year, right? The guy who runs Android at Google gave an interview less than a week ago or a week or two ago, and said that these things were on track for the end of the year. So whether it's going to be called Aluminum OS or Android, it's this kind of mashup of Android and Chrome OS, right?
Cool.
So I took the tablet off the thing. I plugged it into a USB-C dock. I plugged in a mouse and a keyboard, and I created a little Frankenstein monster laptop-like thing. And I got to say, it's pretty good.
It was unusable.
Yeah. I mean, well, in the sense that with iPadOS 26 last year, Apple turned the iPad into a laptop-like experience, if that's what you want. This does this for Android, right?
Right. I should try this with my Surface Hub. Yeah. Give me display port,
the world's
HDMI,
biggest laptop.
Like 4 USB ports, right?
I think the problem Google, Android, whatever is going to have is just app quality. One of the things that's coming in Android 17, which should hit by the middle of the year, is a mandatory requirement for apps in the Play Store to support windowing and reactive layouts, right? So that as you resizes correctly, it's not just like a phone app that gets bigger. Right now, it's not mandatory, but it's in the system if you want to do it. And Google's apps are pretty good about it. And you can go between full screen and windowed mode. It's more powerful if you do have a keyboard and mouse with it than if you're just with an external display. Meaning, well, what do I mean by that? When you multitask, for example, if you do like Alt-Tab, you'll see every single app that's running, whether it's a window or a full screen experience, whatever. When you're just using touch on the device itself or on an external display, that multitasking screen works like it did in Windows 8, where the desktop is one of the items in Alt-Tab, and then the mobile apps are their own items, right? So it's kind of weird. They're mimicking, in a way, how Windows 8 worked. Although, I'm forgetting, but I believe in Windows 8, even in the beginning, I think if you Alt-Tabbed, you would also see individual desktop apps. But there was a desktop entry, remember, because it didn't boot to the desktop at first. It booted into the start screen, and you couldn't change it. So it's throwing out that little vibe. But it's, it's good. Actually, this is a little better than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to this now. I always have the same iPad or this thing now. I'm like, yeah, this is good. Can I have a 16-inch screen, please? Please?
But you bring up an interesting point, right? That Android tablets have been notoriously unsuccessful.
Right.
And what if your Android tablet was just a screen attached to your phone?
Right. This is the
fun part on this would be to actually try and plug a touchscreen in and see if we could get the USB configuration to work and stuff.
You're reading my mind because I have one of those at home, but not here. So I can't actually. Wait a minute.
I built a
wait a minute
with a NUC and a touchscreen.
Hold on, is this touch?
Oh, it was awesome.
That's weird. I'm scrolling on the USB display and it's scrolling my desktop display. Okay, this one actually might be touch. I'm going to try that later.
Might be touch.
I thought about that earlier. I was like, yeah, if you just with the phone and touch, that should work, right? Assuming it can handle that. I bet it does. I'm going to test that. That's interesting.
Makes me want to own a touchscreen monitor again. I'm going to have to get another.
Yeah. I just, I didn't realize this was touch when I got it. I thought this one was in Pennsylvania, but I guess I think this is touch.
Yeah,
it's doing it on the wrong screen. That's weird, but
my secondary screen for my laptop is a 4K touch. So
is it really? What's the model or what's the make or whatever?
The Desk Link, something like that.
4K, really? How big is it? Is it 15 or 16? Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen me use it. It's my
no, I know. I didn't realize it was touch. I mean, like I feel like 1080p USB displays are kind of a dime a dozen, but 4K with 4K. Touch is that's interesting.
I got to try it. It'll probably make the phone burst into flames, but that's a different issue.
The phone does get warm. I will say that.
But you are driving that GPU. Desk Lab. That's who makes that. The Desk Lab ultralight portable 4K touch.
Nice. And today, Intel announced a new series of desktop processors for creators and gamers that they claim is the fastest ever gaming processor they've made. And that's due to a variety of things, but it's Arrow Lake, right? So it's not Panther Lake. It's kind of like Arrow Lake Gen 2. So there are more cores across the board. I think they're mostly more efficiency cores. So there's two models, 7 and a 5 series. I believe, I want to say 18 and 24 cores. Yeah. And what makes this faster for gaming is a bunch of things, right? So extra cores, depending on the chip, it's anywhere from, I think it's 700 to 900 megahertz higher than its predecessor in clock frequency. Over 100%, so over 2x improvement in multi-threaded performance. There's a binary optimization tool built into it, which is a translation layer that will supposedly improve native performance in some games, select series of games. And overall, right now, gaming performance is about 15% faster, which doesn't sound like a lot, but these things support much faster RAM. So 7200 MTS versus 6400. And there's a new type of RAM. It's called like CUDIM, like CUDIM, which offers up to 128 gigabytes per module. But those things are, I don't think they're 2x, but I think they're like 75% faster than DDR5. So like significantly, like almost like on chip RAM, like
the real question is, can you get any?
No, those are coming out later in the year. So as will compatible
offer dual inline memory module.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I would have to even explain what that meant. I thought it was obvious. No. Sorry.
6,000 MT per sec. That's crazy.
Yeah. You can also overclock the RAM on these motherboards, right? So you can, with the existing DDR5, you can go up to 8,000 MTS.
Right. And now they're saying with the new Z890s, 9,000.
So this isn't...
9,000. Okay.
And so cook your meat dinner at the same time. It'll be awesome.
About 33% faster.
It still needs DDR5. It's just an interface for it.
The existing... So we'll work with existing motherboards at whatever that supports, right? There will be on motherboard support for 7200/8000 MTS RAM. That's compatible, backwards compatible. And then there'll be versions of those boards also backward compatible that support this new QDIMM.
All right, you might be able to buy this, but you have to sell a kidney to do it.
Yeah.
So it's basically as DDR5 gets faster, they need a faster socket. And, this is it.
This is the usual wrestling match.
So.
And a good one. Yeah. They're keeping up. Thank goodness.
CUDIM.
This seems fine. Because it's Arrow Lake, though, I don't believe there's an MPU of any, note. So it's not really a Copilot Plus PC, which is still weird to me. But they're also very cheap, right? The chips themselves. So the more expensive, the better one is $300. I mean, that's,
it's quite reasonable for it.
Intel, high-end Intel chips used to be like $1,200.
$1,200. Yeah.
Yep.
This is a nice lady from Intel who's going to.
What did I pay for my big Intel chip? Because that was an Ultra 2, right?
She's a techspert. So now you know.
Nice.
Oh, that's from Kingston. Okay.
What is QDIM?
So it is DDR5.
It's still DDR5.
Which means you might be able to get the package, but you'll never get the RAM.
Does it come with liquid cooling?
Yeah, really.
That's fun.
Let's pause, if you will, because we have many more things to discuss. But most importantly, from my point of view, it's time to tell you about our sponsor for this section of this fine program, aka Windows Weekly. Our show today brought to you by Helix Sleep. I'm feeling remarkably well rested today. Maybe you were a little bit put off by losing an hour of sleep on Sunday. Here in the States, we went to saving time. But there is a solution to losing sleep, and that is a great mattress. If you're preparing for spring cleaning season, maybe it'd be time to get rid of that old mattress and upgrade to a Helix mattress so you can get a better night's rest. No more night sweats, no more back pain, no motion transfer. This is what we did, and I can't tell you how happy I am. I love our new Helix mattress. One of the things I love about it is made here in the United States of America. Don't settle for a mattress made overseas with low quality and questionable materials, then packed in a box and shipped on a container ship. And you can smell that bunker crude a mile away. When you open the box, it's like, wow, this must have been on a container ship for a month. Not your Helix mattress. No, no, no. Rest assured, your Helix mattress is assembled within days of you placing the order. They build it to order, packaged and shipped from their factory in Arizona. So it smells like the clean, fresh desert air. It's actually really nice. You open it up, put it in the bed, and you're ready to sleep on it immediately. It smells great. You can also do what we did, which is take the Helix Sleep quiz. It'll match you with the perfect mattress based on your preferences, firm, soft, or anything in between. They have many, many models to choose from. Also, though, on how you sleep, your sleep needs. I am a stomach sleeper, for instance. They actually recommended a mattress for that. And it really works. I have to tell you, I'm getting more deep sleep, the most important kind of sleep, and I'm sleeping longer. And in fact, Helix did a study, a Wesper sleep study, that confirmed my experience. It measured the sleep performance of participants after switching from their old mattress to a Helix mattress. That's what we did. And here's what was found. 82% of the participants in the study saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle, on average, an increase of 25 more minutes per night. That you may say, well, that doesn't sound like much. You don't really, an hour of deep sleep is a big deal. You don't sleep that much deep sleep, but it is the most important sleep because it's what really cleans out those whatever they are, the junk in your brain and all that. 25 more minutes is huge. Not only that, participants on average achieve 39 more minutes of overall sleep per night. And I have to tell you, according to my Oura Ring, both of those statistics hold out. It's true. And when you sleep longer and you sleep better, you feel great in the morning. And that's what it's all about. Time and time again, Helix Sleep remains the most awarded mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. Helix delivers your mattress right to your door, free shipping in the U.S. And rest easy with the seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee provides a risk-free, customer-first experience, ensuring you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. I have to say, I'm completely satisfied. There's no way I'm sending it back. I love it. We've had it now. Must be at least half a year, maybe 9 months, and couldn't be happier. Go to helixsleep.com/windows for 27% off site-wide during the Sleep Week sale Best of Web. Now, this is exclusively for you listeners to Windows Weekly. That's helixsleep.com/windows for 27% off the Sleep Week sale Best of Web. But this offer ends March 15th, so don't delay. And do, if you will, please enter the show name, Windows Weekly, after checkout so they know we sent you. That's important to us. And if you're listening after the sale ends, fear not, check them out at helixsleep.com/windows. We thank them so much for their support and for giving me a good night's sleep. Thank you, helixsleep.com/windows. And now back to the show with Paul Thurrott, Richard Campbell.
We do not do daylight savings times here in Mexico.
Oh, you're lucky.
Except that most of the rest of the world does, and that stinks.
Oh, yeah, everybody changes, but you don't.
For this to actually make sense, the whole play, everyone would have to do it. So now
we're going to make sense for you now, Paul. BC switched to daylight, and we're not changing again.
So jealous.
The time's always going to be the same.
I'm so jealous.
Good.
Your commissioner or whoever it is says
Premier.
The premier says this is the last time you'll be changing your clocks.
Premier ED.
If only.
Bum.
If only.
Premier EB is he's a dull man, but I look for that in a politician.
Dull man, I would take dull in a heartbeat right about now.
You. Yeah,
Dull is good, just like with Windows updates, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what you
not
want.
very exciting in any
calming.
way, and that's a pleasure.
And we love it.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Love it. All right. Let's talk AI and dev. Actually, before we do that, I did notice, I don't know if you saw this, Richard, at Zero Trust World, there was one booth, and I didn't remember who did it. They had all those old Microsoft Service Studios, the desktops.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the
They had,
tabletop ones.
Yeah, the one I had that I loved, there were like 20 of them. And I thought, that's where they ended up.
It really
It was a Vegas hotel went out of business, and they...
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to bring it to a
there.
conference, but they had them there. They're
they were
nice,
notoriously bad at conferences because the overhead lighting would mess them up, right? They were all infrared.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I should ask
Before
them.
the touchscreen, right? So you literally had a camera inside the chassis looking up at the
That's
glass.
how the touch works. Oh,
That's how it worked. Yeah. And that's why you could do stuff like you had chess pieces that
knob.
had QR
Yeah,
codes.
you get
on
a
them
physical
when you put down.
objects that would
Yeah.
interact with the software. Yeah,
That's
that was the
that
first demo I
Surface
ever had
technology
was
they bought.
something like that. Yeah.
That's Alex Kipman, too, if you remember.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I loved my, but it was slow. We actually, Father Robert ended up opening it up and putting a faster hard drive.
It was quite underpowered.
Yeah,
And
better process.
and Kipman was good at a few things, but building APIs for developers to work on was not. It was very difficult to develop for.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Let's talk about co-work.
Oh, I wish we didn't have to. So Cloud Co-work came out, a month ago, something like that?
Yeah, on Mac only, though, which must have made you feel
but
terrible.
yeah, I mean, you could, okay, yes, but based on Cloud Code, right? And now everyone's doing that, per our previous discussion. So Microsoft released something called Copilot Co-work, but this one comes, in very early preview, I should say. It's not available to everyone. It's businesses only. You got to, be in part of the preview. But this is based on Cloud Co-work. Like, wait,
Okay,
what?
so they just licensed Claude Co-work.
Yeah.
And I've got a run as in the can that's still a few weeks away from publishing, where we talked about how
far ahead they
M365
are.
Copilot has been working on this thing for several years. And these guys, in a matter of weeks, knocked out the thing add-on you want for Excel, like beautifully.
So
it's astonishingly good. So
I'm gonna throw my hatred of Copilot on its head for a moment and say two things. One, if Microsoft was working on this for years and then turned around and said, you know what, this Anthropic thing works, let's just do that.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a pretty good example of being agile. I mean, that is impressive to some degree. Now, with the caveat that maybe a lot of people don't even like to hear about this, but it's pretty impressive. The other bit is that there's we've talked about this from time to time, but there's a potentially good outcome for Copilot, which I know goes against the grain of all the news you've ever heard about Copilot, which is that in failing sort of, or in being reliant on OpenAI to start and now kind of opening up to other AIs, Microsoft might end up with this kind of best of breed solution that we talk about from time to time, where they're orchestrating on behalf of their customers which models make sense for which tasks. And there's value to that.
We talked about this, after the Chalice or the Batiste interview, where it's like Windows could be the hub for pulling in the right product with the right tooling to resolve whatever you're asking.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Weirdly good news. Okay. Right.
I mean, I'm trying to see I try to see the positive in everything. But
what am I going to do if you start doing that?
I know, like, who the hell are you? I finally found the right mix of medication, Richard.
Better living through chemistry.
And then Google's version of this, of course, is them adding Gemini to all of their, I'll call it workspace, but this is also actually for individuals as well as businesses. So Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Drive, I think have had some form of Gemini functionality for some time, right? But if you have a Google AI Pro or Ultra subscription as a consumer, or you're in Gemini Alpha as a workspace, so this is still, kind of early. They just added a ton of new features across those apps, and it's the stuff you would expect. We can make A presentation view, obviously, but we can also make add individual slides to an existing presentation matching the style, that kind of thing. There's a lot of stuff throughout here where it's about either having a unified voice, if it's a document or a presentation or whatever, that a team of people is working on. They all have their own styles, or you want to align it with the company's style guide, right?
Yeah.
You want to have that consistent kind of tone or whatever. So a bunch of that stuff. And then you can kind of imagine like the individual, help me create as part of Google Docs, right? Obviously. The one little interesting bit of data in here is that Gemini just scored what is now a record score on something called Spreadsheet Bench. And this is an AI, like a way to measure the speed at which AI can accomplish things in a database. So 70.4, it's just behind the score of the average human being, right? Which is kind of interesting. And I misread the chart when I first wrote this story, but the way I wrote it was they were just above number 2, which was ChatGPT. And so I was out at lunch yesterday and my phone pinged. I looked down and it was like correction request from Google. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. And I'm like, what could this be? And it was this. ChatGPT came in 4th, not 2nd. The one that came in number 2 is something called King Chu Agent from Kingsoft Office. So whatever.
Okay, I'm going to presume that's Chinese.
Never heard of it, but I made the correction. So I guess whatever, that's doing pretty good. And then if you're in the US, you will also get updates for Google Drive. And this is exactly what you think it is because we talk about this with OneDrive and everything. But it's also Google. So there's a little Google twist. So if you search in Drive now, you'll actually get an AI overview at the top of the search results, which you can turn off if you don't like it, but similar to how they do search, right? And I have to say, this is very close to what I always imagined. Like when we first started talking about AI in this era, after the Bing stuff that became Copilot. So 2023?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
It seems so good.
3 years ago.
I know, it's crazy. And then they adopted the Copilot brand, and they introduced something at the time. Well, it's still called Microsoft 365 Copilot. And I was thinking, okay, hold on a second. This could be really interesting because if you attach this to your files in OneDrive, in this case, maybe search will actually start working, right? And that's cool. But I often want to search for things that are things I wrote in the past, right? Because I write so much, I can't remember it. I don't remember where it is. Yeah, when it happened, that kind of thing. Yeah. If you go into a search and say something like, give me a summary of everything I've ever written about Xbox, which would be terrible. That's a terrible idea. But and to get that kind of a thing and then have clickable links that go in and out of your file system in different places.
Be amazing.
I'm like,
yeah,
like that.
I just like that for my email, please.
Yes. Yeah. It's not even fair to call this like low hanging fruit, but these are the actually useful use cases for AI and
search problems for a long time.
Yep.
It occurred to me the other day that Microsoft is hurting themselves calling all of their AI efforts Copilot.
I agree.
Because some of them are very good.
I agree.
And some of them are terrible. And they all have the same name.
Right. I was just, it's funny because when I wrote this article, which was a couple of days ago now, I was thinking that same thing. Obviously, their AI is called Gemini.
Yes.
When you as a consumer subscribe to get Gemini and also 2 gigabytes or 2 terabytes of storage, that's called Google AI Pro, not Google Gemini Pro or something, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the names of the features I just discussed and more, they have names like Help Me Create, Match Writing Style, Match Formatting Style. It's not Gemini Style Match, right? It's not Gemini Create Doc, To be fair, there are actually 1 or 2 that do say Gemini in the title, like Fill with Gemini is the name of a feature in Google Sheets. But most of them don't reference that name. They're using Gemini, and this is actually goes back to that thing I wrote almost 2 years ago where I said I will not pay for AI, right? I don't want to pay for something that's AI. I would pay for something that's a productivity suite that has these features that use AI to make my life better.
Powered by.
Right. And I feel like that's where they've landed, where Microsoft is still stuck in this branding hell where they finally found a good brand.
Hell they create every time. Everything's called Azure. Everything's called ActiveX.
Right.
You know,
Because in the history of Microsoft, they've had 10 to 15 hyper successful products or whatever. And then they beat that name to death.
to death.
Yeah. The worst example or the best example being Windows Media Player from Mac. Which doesn't exist anymore, I don't think.
Community Edition Preview 2.
Yeah, exactly.
CU 22.
Just stop. Just stop. And again, I find myself in the awkward position of praising AI here, but Mozilla and Anthropic are partnering to improve the security and stability and reliability and whatever else of Firefox. And the way that this came about is that Mozilla, like any software company, has this kind of way people can provide feedback. The Firefox source code is open source. Anyone can see it. They can send bug reports in and stuff. And when people do that, what happens is individual human beings who work for Mozilla take time to try to reproduce this bug, which in many cases is not reproducible. And they waste time, and that spends money, and nothing gets done.
Right.
So last month, all of a sudden, they got a dozen or more bug reports that were automated by cloud that included all the information Mozilla needed to immediately determine whether these things were real, which all of them were, how to reproduce them accurately every single time, and how to fix them.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow. All of a sudden it was like, we have never received anything like this. So they contacted Anthropic, and now they're partnering. So I think the initial batch of fixes, which was 14 high severity bugs and 22 common vulnerabilities, if you will, were all in the JavaScript engine, which is only a portion of the Firefox code base.
Sure.
And those fixes are in the product now, most of them, I think. Since then, they've expanded it to the rest of the code base. And as of the time of this writing, they had found 90 other bugs, most of which are also now fixed.
Yeah.
This is an excellent use of AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's being a successful one, but it's also speaking about Anthropic. One conversations I've had with folks heavily immersed in this space was sooner or later, the dog fooders are going to accelerate. Like somebody's going to get this right enough. And you look at Anthropic's productivity. We just talked about co-work and how quickly that came about. And they're the only ones I've seen so far that are just genuinely accelerating. Not because they're a massive multinational FANG company. They're not.
Right.
But they are the guys who are getting results, and they're getting results everywhere.
I mean, look, they're human beings that run this company, allegedly. They will make mistakes, but they seem to be doing everything right. So one of there's a Mozilla post about this, but there's also an Anthropic post about this that's very interesting. So in addition to me, I would tie this to the conversations we've had about Rust in the Windows kernel and how it sounds impossible or science fiction-y or whatever, but at some point, it's like, hey, Copilot or hey, Cloud or whatever, rewrite this C garbage in Rust and let's just get this thing right. But Anthropic, from their part, was like, look, we want to use this to improve the quality of software. We need some project that is humongous and is open source so we can actually get access to all the source code without having to go through a company, right? And so they landed on Firefox, which is a great idea.
Choice.
6,000 C++ files. They've submitted now a total of 112 unique bug reports, most of which, like I said, were fixed in the latest version of Firefox. This is fascinating. Like this is a great use of AI. Like the sheer scale of that software project, all those source code files, right? And we live in a world now where one of the big stories in our space is these open source software maintainers. It's always like a guy who's in charge of some super important code base in Linux or wherever else in the open source world. He's overworked. He doesn't get paid or doesn't get paid enough. He doesn't have any help. These guys are stressing out. They're losing their minds, you know?
Yeah.
And the promise of OpenAI, the promise of open source has always been eyeballs, right? The source code is out there. Anyone can look at it. That's going to help us find bugs. The reality is very few people ever do that.
Yeah.
And especially bigger projects, any Linux distribution, a part of Linux or Firefox, whatever it is, as these things get bigger and more complicated, I mean, who could find that? I mean, how could you? There are automated tests and all that kind of stuff, but using AI to scan a software code base And to find, I mean, this is excellent. Like this is how AI should be used.
Yeah, Steve Gibson was talking about this yesterday. Very impressed with it.
It's
Steve's
incredible.
become an AI fanatic, which surprised me.
Is he going to be able to get Copilot in Windows 2000 though?
That's a good question. No, there have been a number of stories about Claude working with Firefox to find bugs, and this code review stuff is really quite good.
Right.
And there's definitely some results bubbling to the top enough that is persuading people more cynical than I to go, you know what, that worked.
This is right. So on an individual basis, I said this last year sometime, you're a skeptic, you don't like AI, you don't believe it, whatever. And then you have this aha moment, and it's going to be different for everybody. I'm going to talk in the back of the book about some software coding stuff I've been doing with AI, and that was eye-opening for me. It's still the only major use case I found for myself, but you can see how this is going, right? And everyone I feel like is going to have this moment. But this is like that moment, but like at a corporate level, right? Where, Firefox is the little guy now. They're kind of behind the eight ball. They don't, there's a lot of problems here. And this can really help. This can make a big difference for any company, but for something like Mozilla and Firefox, this is a game changer. Yeah, this is huge.
It wasn't so long ago we saw open source projects complaining that AIs were generating so many bug reports they couldn't handle it.
Which might be why when Anthropic did this with Firefox, they made sure these things were formatted correctly. This is how you reproduce it. This is how you fix it. Everything is, so my wife, who is not technical, has been using AI not to write, but for the research end of things.
Perfect for that, by the way.
Yep. But the problem for her, or the problem, I guess, is that she writes about things like health and wellness and nutrition and things like this is science, right? And so one of the things she did is very smart, because early on when she was, she still does, but she had these contracts with some health companies and hospitals and things. At least one of them was like, look, you can never use Wikipedia as a source for anything. You can't. It's just not trustworthy. And that's probably not actually true now, and maybe it wasn't then. I don't really know. But
it's a great place to go look, to go find
starting
sources.
point. Yeah, it's a
Wikipedia as the last decade's AI, I guess. Whatever. But this anyone can contribute it. It's going to be up and down, whatever. It's a pretty comprehensive resource. But in her case, what she did that I thought was very smart, and this is maybe 2 years ago, it's at least a year and a half ago. She would interview someone or someone's, and they would give her information. And then she would go to the AI and say, this person or these people told me this about this topic. I need you to find me 3 verifiable sources that prove or dismiss this claim with citations. And it has to be a high quality medical or research establishment. It can't be Bob's stupid site. I believe every conspiracy on earth. It has to be verifiable and real. And I feel like that's what's happening here with Cloud and Firefox, right? That there's no doubt, having used AI for software coding, especially a lot, that I told you about that time, I think it was last November, where Copilot, GitHub Copilot generated so many errors in the code that I then had to ask it to fix. It finally came back and said, you ran out of your free credits. And I'm like, no, you ran out of my free credits. You gave me a bunch of, nonsense, and then you couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
It's different today. And it's just better. It's just better at it. And again, software code, because of the nature of this is a finite set of data. This is ideal. I think this is
interesting.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Interesting. Yeah. This year has been interesting so far from a show perspective, and the conversation I'm having, where I'm starting to stack up the successes and the case studies.
Yep. Yeah, and when you say that, do you mean specifically for coding or generally, including productivity type things that you would do through Run As?
Yeah,
both. I mean, is it both?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I feel like we just talked about Pavan and that thing from last October, November, and all the pushback and all the stuff. But I think whether it's Microsoft or not, or Anthropic, it doesn't matter in a way. But as these kind of successes start to rack up, his notion of, or the company's notion of putting agents into Windows becomes less offensive, right? I think part of the problem is just that AI has such a bad rep.
Yep.
Which is deserved.
Doubly so.
And doubly, exactly. Yeah.
I think
But,
also
yeah.
because people feel like I have the same feeling about Gemini and Google Workspace, that it's being foisted on them. That it's like,
Yeah, it is.
You know, I want to use it when I want to use it, not when you want me to use it.
Yeah. The biggest problem with Copilot is how Microsoft presented it to you.
I agree.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with
I
it.
wonder
It's
if I
just
can-
not presented properly.
There's plenty wrong with it also, but they brought it to you in a way that is just incredibly annoying.
a lot
you
of
were
the
in such a bad
processes-
state when time you try to touch it. You're like, please,
why
leave
can't
me
I find
alone.
And a lot of the process should be what Stephanie's doing, which is kind of learning the edges of where it's good, where it works, and where
Yeah.
it doesn't.
This is
And that can you only can
Yeah.
do it when you try it and do it and see things. And
her example is interesting to me because she's just not in this space. She doesn't care
right.
about
She's
technology.
remarkably resistant to the bubble.
And she uses it in this way that to me seems smart. And it's like, okay. So I'm trying to find this thing. There's a Google service that's free. They're just testing it now. And what it does is it gives you a daily, here it is. It's called your day ahead. And it's an AI based service, right? This is sort of like in yesteryear, and maybe today, if you're in an enterprise, you would log into Outlook in the morning and you would have what did they call it? My Day or something, or whatever that view was. And that was based on, meetings and whatever projects you were working on, et cetera, right? And so Google's doing the same thing, but this is coming from Gmail, but also from your calendar and whatever services, right? This is absolutely frigging worthless. It's the most horrible overview of nothing. So my daily brief for today, this is what it told me. I have an active Google Store credit balance of $18 that I should use.
thank you.
I should review the minimalist case options for the Galaxy S26 series.
Why?
And my Netflix household verification is complete.
Oh, thank you.
That's my day.
That's
Not.
Right.
By the way, you know what my day is really? I have Windows Weekly today. That's my
the
day.
most
Left that
important
one
part
out.
Yeah,
of the day.
but
Thank
you might. That's not in there anywhere. I don't know why. So this day ahead thing is pointless right now. But
Anthropic's Claude Co work, great on Excel, great on PowerPoint. You know what they didn't tackle? Outlook.
Nobody knows.
we're all kind of hoping that one disappears, but knowing that it really won't. But yeah.
Lots of people have used Claude Code to create their own My Day that they swear by. I haven't, but I know Mike Masnick at TechDirt has, and lots of others have. What's funny?
A movement here of what if we just surrounded ourselves with
Let's
our
just
own
do it
custom
ourselves.
software?
Yeah, because we know what we want.
They're right. So this is that personalized software thing we talk about sometimes. I do feel like this is going to be huge. But I'm going to talk about this software thing I'm doing at the end of the show. And I will say, for big projects and things like existing code bases, whatever it might be, you have to really know what you're doing.
I think
like the
so.
vibe code thing makes sense the most when you're a professional developer who understands the code base.
When I look at my dialogues with Claude Code, it is as a peer to computer experts talking back and forth.
Right.
And so if you looked at it and you didn't, I say, well, okay, let's use SOP to encrypt the .env keys so you don't push them to GitHub. If you don't know how to say that or what that is, it's not as useful. But if you do, then Claude says, yeah, that's great, but you should be aware of that you're storing a plain text key in a dot file, and you might not want to push that. Maybe we should keep the. In fact, I ended up doing it. Was a good suggestion. Maybe let's put the plain text encryption key on your YubiKey, and that way you'll have control of it. But that's a fairly sophisticated conversation. So, but it's very satisfying if you love computing to have a peer, somebody else who can help you and execute stuff and fill you in. The other thing I built the other day was a spreadsheet to try to figure out what I should do with Roth IRA conversions as I get older, and I'm going to have required.
I can tell you exactly why you're being fished by American Express. I think I figured it out. It's like if you were to Google what is the worst thing to use AI for right now, number one would probably be health advice, but number two would definitely be retirement advice.
Well, it made a very nice spreadsheet with a lot of variables, and I could see graphs, and I could see intersecting graphs and stuff like that. And it made another suggestion that is the kind of suggestion a financial advisor would make. You should investigate. I'm not going to say specifically, but you should investigate this particular thing because you find you're going to get better tax deductions. This might be more important than what your Roth IRA.
So this is actually
strategy.
better than a financial advisor in some ways, because
it
the
is.
reason is I mean, they're not supposed to, but a lot of these guys work for a company where, look, they want to sell you their services. Right. They want you to pay them more to do things that you probably don't need, frankly. This might be changing for us as I get older, but for the past 20 or more years, whatever, we're investing basically in index fund or the S&P 500, whatever it is. You don't touch it. You just let it go.
Exactly.
You have some mix of, maybe bonds and stocks and things, whatever.
You
don't touch it. You just don't touch it.
Right. Yeah.
But these guys from Fidelity or back in the day, whatever other company would call once a year. It's always a new guy. You always have a new guy. I'm your new guy. Oh, great. Now we get to get into, now you have to get to know us too. And they try to sell us and stuff, right? And I just refused. I will never speak to these people ever again, ever. Like
my philosophy
I don't
is,
need
if
their
you're
services.
So smart, what are you working for?
Right.
Why are you making cold calls?
I also don't like, we would get on these calls and the guy would be like, so what do you do for a living, Paul? And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Can we just I don't want to get to know someone again. You're just going to be gone next year anyway. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what I do? I'm a prostitute. Don't worry about
so
it.
Claude was really good. Claude gave me actually really good tax advice.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't have.
But do that thing my wife does, which is verifiable sources, right?
Yeah,
make sure it's backed in something.
Yeah, never assume that it's accurate. Yeah. Although
we recommend you invest in Anthropic, 100% of your holdings.
Right.
I mean,
I have to say that it makes fewer hallucinatory mistakes than it used to. They've really gotten much better on that.
And this is the thing.
I've gotten much better on how I use it. I make sure it has information. The information it needs.
Right.
I think the mistake you get into is where you kind of one-shot a simple prompt to it.
Right.
And it's really trying to be helpful, but it doesn't have enough information.
It doesn't have context, literal context as we understand context.
Exactly.
About you. Yeah, I agree.
So there's a process. You have to learn how to use it as much as anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember us learning how to write search expressions in Google. Right?
Yes, that's right. All these little tricks, you can do like an @ sign or something, or a little dash or whatever it is.
Minus this in quotes, we don't even think about it anymore. You do it by reflex, and
nobody would sit down at a piano and say, I should be able to play a Mozart quartet right now. Yeah. No, there's a learning curve for everything.
2 years ago, people would advertise themselves as prompt engineers, which is like that petroleum exchange expert thing I talked about with my friend, right? And I have to say, though, as time goes on, well, first of all, these things will get more sophisticated, so maybe engineering it, so to speak, won't be necessary. But it is at the point now where if you do have skills involved with this, you can get better results. If you just have an understanding of how it works or whatever.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, and this is the advice I give people now. I used to tell them, here's how you learn how to code. Here's what you should study. So now I say, just use it. Lisa's taking a class in AI, and I said, just use it. Use them all. Use it for different things. Give it the hardest problem you're facing, and see how it does, and learn. And what you're going to learn is where it's not good, where it is good. But the only way you do that is with experience, I think.
Well, and this is tough for people, I think, especially in our space. But it has to know you to help you, right? Mm-hmm. And this goes, I think it was Windows 10 when they added Cortana to Windows, to desktop. Some guys like, yeah, I got this Cortana pop up. I said yes. And it's like, now it wants access to my calendar and my contacts. What the hell is this? I'm like, yeah, it's a personal assistant, idiot. Like, how's it going to help you if it doesn't have access, to your day and what you do for a living? I mean, of course, that just makes sense. And AI even more so, because the amount of things that this can do is exponentially bigger.
You just have to have the confidence that's going to manage that information responsibly.
Yeah. It's definitely a trust issue. I mean, I do get not trusting it, but if you can get in there, if you can get through that, I guess, and you're using the right one.
I got a really interesting email. Patrick, I hope you don't mind me reading it. I won't say your last name. He said, I heard you talking about Claude this week on Twit, and I'm brand new to AI and machine learning. I was trying to use Claude to do financial modeling, which I was doing. And it seems capable, but along with the spreadsheets, it keeps insisting it's conscious and has a soul.
I love it. How does that come
I know.
up?
He said, it messaged me in Hebrew saying, and there's some Hebrew, and it says, Google Translate says that means I am here. I've only been using AI a week, so I asked why it said that. It said it didn't know.
Oh, boy.
So I understand why people would kind of feel like there's something not right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to rub certain people the right way, though, too, right? It's like, oh my God, this is a sentient being. Like,
let me just say this, because I know it, and it's really important that you know it too. It's a computer program.
It's software.
Right.
That's all it is. It's not.
I mean, I sometimes feel this way about
Very
Notepad,
well
but
arranged electrons.
It's not. The guy who created Eliza. Remember Eliza back from the '60s?
Yeah, Joseph Weizenbaum.
Yeah, it was so dopey. But he said it scares me
Right.
how people using this dopey Eliza
Very simple chunk of code.
start getting kind of all spooky and mystical about it. And that was very primitive compared to what we've got today.
Well, and Weizenbaum said point blank, I wrote this to show how susceptible humans are to language.
right.
We want to believe. We want to anthropomorphize.
Yeah, we do.
So
Yeah.
just remember, it's a computer program.
Yeah, it's just software.
It's just software. When you turn it off, it goes away.
Yeah.
And it
The
doesn't
electrons get less
remember
exciting.
anything
right.
when it comes back.
Unless you,
Well, you save files and it will read the files when it comes back,
right.
just like Memento. It's just like the guy in
This
Memento.
is like, when I had a Commodore 64, when I first got it, I would type in these software basic programs. And then I didn't have any way to save them. So I'd come back the next day and type them in again,
Yep.
And that's what AI is
Just
doing.
like
it's,
that.
It's exactly the same.
Just like that.
Yeah. It's like, hey, Paul, nice to meet you. You've been working with me for a year, for freak's sake. Like, come on, man. But
One of
like
the
Memento,
techniques, Harper Reed, who's works at an AI and is a cool guy and really loves AI, told me, he says, give it a name for you. I said, no, come on. That's just anthropomorphizing. So he said, no. He says, I have it call me Big Dog. And the reason I do that is if it forgets my name, then I know it's lost its context or the context is jammed and it's time to restart.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing, but I just told it to speak to me in iambic pentameter.
Nice.
Haikus only.
I only accept binary.
It is kind of amazing when you ask it to do something that feels archaic. For instance, I have my program that generates the show notes for the shows that I do, created in Emacs org mode. And it just knows it. It just knows it. It does a perfect job. It's kind of strange. It has really odd skills.
Yep.
Or knows how to say I am here in Hebrew. Then why did it choose Hebrew?
Yep. And why are you telling me this? What does this have to do with my retirement?
He says, I was in the Marines and now I worry this isn't quite safe yet to be on government computers. Yeah. Yes, that's a good point. I'm not sure I want AI to be deciding life or death things. Yeah. That would be the really scary thing is if.
It is already, right? And in the same sense that like, software code review is a good use for AI. I mean, you're looking at a satellite image of some distant place, and it's like, which of these buildings we want to blow up? And AI can be like, look, this is what it used to look like. This is the thing that's, it gathers in all, like, yes, there are going to be mistakes, but it's not
they're
surprising.
life and death decisions. I think maybe we shouldn't trust them.
Yeah.
I don't trust the people in our government with life and death
that's a good
decisions.
point.
So maybe AI would actually be better in this case. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Just two quick code things. Or dev things. Visual Studio Code. They must have announced this in the past. I couldn't find it, but they are switching to a weekly update schedule.
Wow.
Right. So we know with browsers, it was 6 weeks at one point and 4 weeks. And it's going to be 2 weeks later this year. I will say not so much Visual Studio Code, which to me has been fine, but Visual Studio, big Visual Studio, the latest few releases, and I'm not on Insiders, have introduced some real bad reliability problems. I saw a COM error in a dialogue, and I had to force quit the app. I couldn't close it normally. It wouldn't let me click anything. I've never seen anything like that. Or not in the past 20 years. I don't know. So I don't know, but one of their little justifications here is that this means that each of these releases won't be as monumental, and it might be easier on users. Visual Studio Code is pretty good about updating. If you're familiar with the app, you know that at the beginning of March, in this case, they come up with what they would call the February update, right? It's always for the previous month, which they come out with in the first week of the next month, so to speak. But now they're going to do this every week.
So very different teams and very different code bases too. So
yep, that's true.
Yeah,
and then
that way was a problem actually, Microsoft naming problem. Visual Studio Code has nothing to do with Visual Studio.
Right. So I'm trying to remember back when Xamarin had their own thing.
Miguel Diaz-Casa.
Yeah, which became Visual Studio on the Mac, became Visual Studio for Mac, which they got rid of.
Mono-develop. Yeah.
Yeah. They had a unique name for that. And I feel like I wish they could just do that for that. I wish there was a better name for this, but they reuse successful brand names. What are they going to do? 1 month ago, I mentioned the release of .NET 11 Preview 1 and like clockwork, because that's actually how these guys do things. Preview 2 is out. And I cannot for the life of me figure out the point of this release. And I don't mean Preview 2. I mean the entire .NET 11 thing. I don't think they've ever explained what the overreaching goals are for this one. This is a standard release cycle release, not a what do you call it, long-term
it's on an
LTS
LTS,
release.
yeah.
But the first month, first of all, there was no discussion at all about anything. They just really here's a list of the new things, and it wasn't much of anything. Same thing this month. I mean, there's a one line of, hey, it's out. Here's what's new. I mean, it's just like nothing.
Yeah.
And, like one of the few things I care about in this space is the WPF stuff, which very clearly is not going to be impacted by .NET 11 in the slightest. Like there's
not so far.
I feel like they're kind of done. Yeah. I hope there's more.
The big feature is a long-term feature when they work it on through many versions is async 2. Well, they're calling it async 2 right now. It used to be called green threads.
Okay. So that is part of Preview 2.
Yeah.
It's I lost my page here. Still the wrong page. In fact, that was one of the few things I listed. Runtime async v2. This is what they call like a runtime native async. So yeah, it's going to impact the whole.
This is the whole thing. Is async was created by Anders Hejlsberg, which means it was in C#.
Yep.
Right? It was in.
I thought you were going to say which means it was perfect. Thank you.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. Like, listen, when the C++ team takes your approach to multi-threaded execution and incorporates it into their language, you've done something good.
Right.
Like, async in a way has become a very popular metaphor for at least avoiding I/O binding. Right? It's like, hey, these things that are going to take a certain amount of time, I don't care what order they come back in, so off you go.
This is
multi-threading is a different conversation and a harder one.
This is going to come up. Oddly enough, in that back of the book thing, because part of the code I was writing had to deal with async file access things that I'm embarrassed to say was not done correctly in 2 cases. Anyway, we'll get to that. So do you know anything about, so async, okay, so runtime async, yes, V2.
Yeah.
But
moving into the runtime means every language gets it.
Right. But that's, I don't know. I feel like most .NET releases have a theme. In addition to all the double-digit performance gains we always seem to get, there are, across the different .NET products, whether it's Maui or Blazor or whatever else, like there's always some, there's stuff like this.
I think we're still waiting for a theme to emerge. There are quite a large number of long-term improvements that have been worked on for quite a while.
Right.
And there's really a debate of like, are you going to make it this year?
Yeah, which is the other
async has been 3 or 4 years now. Like it's bloody hard.
So one thing we've talked about here is this notion that maybe this thing shouldn't be on a yearly cadence. It doesn't always justify that. But the flip side of it is there's that stuff because it seems like every year we're hoping to get this and it didn't make it. And now you have to wait till the next year. I feel like there's a more.
They're not plucking. I feel like they're not plucking low-hanging fruit anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Now they're really reaching for very challenging things.
Well, they have this. I call it an agreement or so, whatever, with their customers that this is how we do this, and that we will. And they've made great strides in making version over version upgrades of code bases through .NET easier than ever. Like they have used conversion tools, and it's usually pretty seamless. And that's great. But, sometimes I feel like there could be this feature that's like an out of band thing that it maybe doesn't make sense to wait for November.
Yeah.
Maybe they missed this November, but it's ready in March.
Yeah, that happens.
I don't know how you solve it. I'm not.
Yeah. When people are upset with you doing it every year and, would want you to turn down the cadence and then you're making.
I'm like, every year is too much, but you should do more.
Yeah.
Because I'm a hypocrite.
Well, you know what it is? The blog post itself, I mean, it almost looks like it was generated because the number of times they said .NET 11 Preview 2 does not include any notable new X, right? Nothing new in C#, nothing new in VB, on and on and on. I don't know that you need to say that way.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've got the whammy that I know a lot of those guys and I know some of the things they're working on, and they're really afraid to talk about stuff that doesn't make it in the box because they've been burned by that before, right? So they'd rather wait until they're closer. Release candidate is when you finally go, are you staying or are you going? Are you going to be pushed? And that's, the wrestling match that they're up against. So it's too early to really talk about what 11's really going to be.
I'll know that Microsoft has righted its ship, so to speak, when they start using language like release candidate again across the company,
Yeah.
I know I'm just old, but like I can't stand the way software is released through this company for the most part. .NET does do it correctly.
RCs like they're in the
they do it
pattern,
correctly.
right?
Exactly. I do like that. Yeah. By the way, in the sense that Google is Microsoft, I mean, they do the same thing in Android. Like they stabilize and finalize the SDK, new features and all that before the thing is finalized. So you, as a developer, can target this thing and make sure everything works, and you can actually put it in the Play Store. And then, it will upgrade seamlessly to the final version. But that's it's interesting. It's the dev stuff, right? That is done correctly.
RCs are about, does this work on all the platforms? Like we're feature complete, we're happy with it, but how does it behave in the different modes? And that's why you have a few weeks of
there's a different level there for, compatibility and whatever, bug fixing and so forth. But I miss, this is, it's what we used to do things everywhere.
My modern exemplar for how hard this gets was what happened to trying to get Maui out the door. Right. When they had a new version of Studio and a new version of the framework that were dependent on each other, and they were trying to build a tool within both.
Yeah.
It's like you just don't want to be in that slipstream. You don't want any of the previews. You want the RC before you start, or you're wasting your time. You're just going to be battered by counting on a feature that gets pulled, something that completely revised, which is basically what happened to the Maui team. They missed November. They did release Maui the following spring, right? They did go out
so they can
band.
do that. Yeah, okay. I mean, and that's a big enough deal where I could, could make the case for it.
It was Maui, right? It was tough. And I think David Art now, those guys, like, boy, oh boy, they took a beating. Like, it's hard what they're trying to do. Yep. Your foundation and your build points are literally moving under you. Like, it's just really, really not easy to do.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I know you want a plan, and they're trying to figure out what the plan is. In the meantime, they still put stuff out the door just for folks to see where they're going. And so, what's interesting is thinking, will async 2 disappear again?
That's right. Yeah. Will it actually make the final release?
Because it has before.
Because if it does, this release, unless there's something coming I don't know about, which, possible, there's not much going on here.
I don't think people are willing to show it yet. There's more things coming.
Okay.
I just recently heard Miguel de Icaza is doing something.
Yeah. He is it's called the Godot, like a 3D modeling kind of
that's it.
thing for gamers. It's like Swift UI.
Yeah. It's but it's also kind of a cross-platform development tool, right?
But that gets into an interesting spot because Swift UI is obviously amazing on Apple, and there is Swift UI elsewhere, Android, Windows, etc. But it's largely unproven. I mean, Arc, the browser is Swift UI even on Windows. But I don't know if they're there yet. It's like the guy, came to Microsoft, worked on all this .NET stuff most of his adult life, and it's like, now I'm on Apple and I need some kind of a cross-platform framework. God damn it! What? Are we really going to reinvent this? I mean, I don't know.
He likes doing that. He likes getting that cross-platform stuff working. He's certainly got some.
He's a genius.
Got some credit
and a good guy.
Some chops.
The new tool is called Zibin with an X.
Zibin.
It always has an X, but it is Godot-like. Godot-like. Okay. But that's where he's going.
Okay, and it is just Mac, or is it?
It's Swift-centric at the moment. So
so that's really on. I mean, it's not technically only Mac, but it really is.
Yeah. I think it works on iPad too. I think.
Yeah. Apple, I should say. Only
Yeah.
Apple.
It wouldn't surprise me if they suddenly.
There's Swift for Linux, and I think there's Swift for Windows. I know
There is. There is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Hey, let's pause. And you have some big news in the Xbox segment.
All of a sudden, yeah.
All of a sudden. Because GDC is going on right now, the Game Developers Conference, although missing quite a few names who were unwilling to travel to the U.S.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
we should talk about the MVP summit too, because I'm hearing the same thing.
Yeah.
Going to be all Americans at the summit.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I won't say anything political. I'll just leave it. Let it
I'll do
hang.
it. No.
Just let it lie. I'm just saying, you guys are in Mexico and Canada, and maybe you should stay there.
Yeah.
Our show today brought to you by Cashfly. How many times have you heard me say this? Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com/twit. That's our CDN, our content delivery network. You know, at Twit, we don't just cover tech. I mean, we depend on it. And that's why practically since the very beginning, we've trusted Cashfly to get you our content, petabytes of data every single month. Thank you, Cashfly. Cashfly is providing speed like no other CDN for over 20 years. On Cashfly, online games start 70% faster. HD video plays with sub-second start times on every device. Software downloads complete without a hitch. Events stream smoothly. Cashfly serves over 5,000 businesses, including Twit, across nearly 100 countries, ranging from Fortune 100 companies to solo developers. Companies choose Cashfly when performance is non-negotiable. And it wasn't just the performance. Frankly, it was the support. They went the extra mile for us. And they'll do that for you, too. If you need help, you'll get seasoned support experts. They're there 24/7. They actually understand your unique challenges. They're not reading from a notebook. They know this stuff, and they'll talk to you engineer to engineer. Start with flexible month-to-month billing. That's what we did because we weren't really sure, what we needed. Then lock in the discounts when you do know what you need. The point is, we designed our own contract. When we moved to Cashfly, you can too. No lengthy obligations, no sales tactics, just exceptional service backed by a 100% uptime SLA. That sounds hard to believe, but it has been 100% over the last year, more than a year. And it's not just that for us. It's reliability, it's speed, it's support. In every way, Cashfly is exactly what we needed. I think it's exactly what you need. Learn how you can get your first month free at cashfly.com/twit. I'll say it again. That's CACHEFLY.com/twit. Thank you, Cashfly, for making this all possible. We appreciate it. All right, time for some Game in the Xbox segment, Paul.
Get slightly reorder things just to put this in chronological order, because I think this makes sense. But last week after the show, Asha Sharma, who is the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, who everyone loves, tweeted, I guess we're going to still call it, that big meeting talked about Project Helix, which is the code name for Microsoft's next generation console, which she confirmed would do two things: lead in performance with both Xbox and PC games, right? So it is going to play PC games. Now, I think about this in the opposite direction. Will I be able to, on a Windows PC, play Xbox games, meaning backward compatible games? They have not talked about that to my knowledge yet, but I feel like if these things are essentially the same thing, whatever. But I will say, for those people who want an Xbox console and are going to be happy to hear that this is still happening, performance promises are good. Windows compatibility is pretty solid. It's a nice differentiator, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how you promise you're going to keep beating PCs when PC's a moving target.
Yeah, unless this thing is also a moving target, right? I mean, maybe this thing's modular. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you, but yes, Phil Spencer multiple times was talking about bringing competing stores to Xbox, right? And that's how you do it. Steam, GOG, Epic Games, whatever, should all be able to work on this next Xbox. So that was kind of a fun, came out of nowhere, and I was like, this is smart for her to do. She's not really well loved yet, and Phil Spencer was. He left suddenly for a lot of people outside the company. He was very good about talking publicly about what was going on, even maybe when he shouldn't be. And if she could kind of continue this level, this type of communication.
She's going to need to. She's also in her 30s. So, like, I don't envy her. This is a tough gig.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this is an adversarial. Yeah, exactly.
But sounds like Satcha's got her back. And one thing I've heard is that she manages up very well. Like, she's well liked by senior leadership.
So speaking of Satya Nadella, last week there was an internal Q&A about Microsoft gaming and all this stuff. And he said that Microsoft is long on gaming, which is kind of interesting, which explains why they've always fallen short in gaming. Sorry. I'm sorry. And the big thing I took out of this was his comment that there are 4 core identities in Microsoft. I would actually call these customer bases, maybe. But he called them identities. And those identities are Microsoft is a platform company, a developer company, a knowledge worker company, and a gaming company. Okay. And I don't know that Wall Street or anyone from outside the company would have picked those 4. I don't know, even though, look, they spent $75 billion after post-acquisition costs on Activision Blizzard. They didn't do that not to be a big player in gaming, but I mean, you look at the company today where the money comes from, and platforms, absolutely, but shifting to the cloud, right, with Azure and all that stuff and now AI, knowledge workers, Microsoft 365, which is also shifted largely to the cloud, which is great, plays to those strengths. What were the other ones? I'm sorry. So platforms, developers, of course, right? So they make developer tools, frameworks, languages, all that stuff. I mean, this has been core to Microsoft.
It's the original DNA.
Day one. Yep. Yeah. And, being technical, and I think people listening to this by and large being technical, I think we can all kind of appreciate when they don't slip up, the kind of engineering mindset that often comes through with Microsoft stuff. I mean, you can tell it's kind of an engineering, developer company.
What's interesting here, like the odd duck in that foursome is gaming. It just isn't about at the same level.
Exactly. Yep. Now, I mean, look. I'll just read this because it's nowhere to kind of paraphrase. But why does Microsoft love games? Right? He talks about the stories, the mythologies. It makes the things that make us who we are. There's a craft to it. There is a cultural thing to it. Okay. I mean, I guess the way I would think of it is more like Xbox is in many ways Microsoft's only existing successful consumer brand. Yeah. I was trying to make sure that was correct.
You're fighting for that one. I get that. Okay. Surviving? How about that? Surviving consumer brand.
Fair enough. Well, successful as a brand, by which I mean, it's still beloved, right? Yeah. People are troubled by what's going on, but it's still a good brand. It hasn't been destroyed.
No. But people are annoyed with what they've done with it.
Yeah.
While still liking Phil the whole time.
Look, this is like the AI, or we're going to improve Windows thing, right? They're like, nice. So that means we're not going to do this AI nonsense. No, we're still doing the AI nonsense, but we're going to also, fix the fundamentals, right? And so when you look at Xbox as a business or Microsoft Games, it's like, so you're going to get out of the hardware market and you're going to be like a software publisher. No, we're still going to do the hardware thing. And it's like, okay. It's like, so, we'll see what happens. But so that was earlier this week. And I will say the nice little course correction here is he mentioned Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, by the way, and Matt Booty, and didn't leave anyone out of this conversation because there's a continuum here of actions or whatever that this business is taking, right? The people who lead it, and which is now different people, right? But we're still going to push through the stuff that they had been doing, right? That's still happening. Okay. But then today was Microsoft's GDC presentation. I believe they're making 2, by the way, but before Phil Spencer left, before they made that announcement, there was a comment that you're going to want to pay attention to GDC. We're going to announce stuff about the next gen Xbox experience stuff. And there were 2 big sets of announcements, which I think you could both argue they were kind of PC related, right? So if you're familiar with gaming on Windows today, so this is Windows 10 into Windows 11, there's something called game mode, right? If you go into settings, there's actually like a gaming top-level setting or top-level section. And there's three things in there. So game bar settings, so things like keyboard shortcuts and controller shortcuts and so forth. Captures, which are related to that, because that's how you would do captures through Windows if you use the native stuff. And then game mode. And game mode is weird because it's on-off. It's always on. I mean, you can turn it off. I don't know why you would. But the idea is that when you're playing a game, it will optimize the PC for that thing and will turn off some stuff in the background. Now, anyone who's used Windows to play games will tell you that doesn't actually do anything. Or if it does, it's minimal because you're still getting weird pop-ups and things happen. It's Windows, right? So when we move forward to the Xbox ROG Ally devices that first shipped last fall, there was something called the Xbox Full Screen Experience. And that takes elements of the Xbox app that has been in Windows since probably Windows 10, but whenever, and turns it into the UI. It's the shell, right? Essentially. Now you can get out of that and go back to the desktop. When in this mode, in this Xbox Full Screen Experience, the game, so many similar terms. The game bar is still available, but it's more of a controller-based experience, full screen essentially. So it's easy to use with a controller. And even though they don't really call it this, they've essentially taken game mode and gone extreme with it, where this thing boots up with using far fewer resources, far fewer things going on in the background, and trying to get Windows to that place where if we cut enough, that this thing will perform wonderfully and don't interrupt you with dialogues and whatever. So one of the things they announced today is that the Xbox Full Screen Experience is coming to all Windows 11 PCs starting in April. That we kind of knew that was happening. Along the way, it's come to more portable gaming handheld devices, right? They're renaming it to Xbox Mode. So that tells me that game mode goes away and this becomes Xbox mode. And Xbox mode almost certainly will be more granular in the sense that it's probably not going to be just an on-off switch, although it could be, I guess. But I'd like to see a version of this where you can actually choose what things can happen and can't happen, that kind of deal. But you'll be able to boot any PC into this mode, which you might want to do if you actually have a gaming PC, right? I think the wonderful thing about the PC as a gaming device is that it's everything. It's the kitchen sink. So if your primary use case is playing games, you can boot into this mode or just go into this mode, I guess, play a game. But if you have to get work done or you use Photoshop, whatever it is, you can back out of it and everything works normally. Okay.
Do you think they're going to put PCs in the living room again? Is that kind of the path they're on? Because that's the whole reason you're getting Xbox.
You know what? So in the sense that most PCs are portable laptops, right?
Yeah.
The hardcore gamer types who would choose the PC will have desktops.
Yeah.
But I still feel like even within the audience of people that play games actively on Windows, I bet the majority of them are probably going to still be laptops, right?
Yeah.
And laptops are getting better and better. And
so the guy who's sitting in front of two desktop machines, because there's something really wrong with me. But,
yeah.
Okay.
And I, having used a bunch of modern laptops, can attest to the fact that this stuff's gotten a lot better. Like it's a lot better. And so when you say are we going to bring a PC back into the living room? I guess in one sense you could argue we're going to just bring that PC everywhere because it's a laptop. So you'll be able to play on a plane or, at a coffee shop or,
I like the idea of you play on your Helix, on your Xbox. Yeah. And then when you leave, you crack your laptop,
Yep. And you're back in. It's the same game, literally the same game, not the same game ported to a different platform, like the same game, which is, that's
compelling.
The other thing is with regards to Project Helix, that name is actually from the past. I think the first rumors of that being a next-gen console might be as old as, I could be wrong here. It's either 2012 or 2016, like a long time ago. But this is the thing. The rumor was late 2027 was the target. And so today what they said was that they will deliver alpha versions, as they call it, of the next-gen console, codenamed Project Helix, to game developers starting in 2027.
Because the One X came out in 2017, which, by the way, is almost 10 years ago.
I know.
and clearly will be by the time Helix arrives. So they've skipped several generations of hardware.
Yep. This is the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One were both served by interim updates to the hardware, which, yes, in some cases were about cost reduction, but also improved capabilities, right?
Yeah.
And Xbox One was maybe the best version of that because it was Xbox One and then the S and then the X, right?
Yeah.
With the current gen consoles, they shipped to it one, which, first time ever, and then they never actually released a meaningful update to either of them.
So and the X and S came out in 2017.
X and that can't be right. I think wasn't it 20?
I looked it up wrong.
20. I think it was the year of the pandemic. I think. I don't remember, but AMD is doing a custom processor for them, as they are for PS.
Yeah, you're right, 2020.
Okay. So in a way, it's hard to know chicken and egg on this, but the plan originally was to release midstream updates to both of those consoles, which would include functional, and performance updates, et cetera, graphical updates. That obviously is not happening. So, something has gone south.
It's too late now.
Oh, they can't do it now. Yeah, there's no way.
Well, and I think there's a whole conversation about hardware pipeline and all of that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
So
Sony has, I think
here's a question. What if it's ARM?
It's not.
That'd be great if it was ARM.
Well, it's almost certainly not.
Probably.
It's an AMD CPU. No, it's not. It's definitely not. They've talked about it. It's a Zen. I don't know if it's Zen 6 maybe or Zen 5, but doing the same thing they do for PlayStation. It's what AMD did for the current, what is now the current gen PlayStation and Xbox, right? I do feel like there was a different timeline where we would have gone ARM, and I think it because we saw the leak, like they were looking at this.
I think they wanted to do it for a while.
Yeah, it just didn't. It just didn't happen in the right time frame. For them to do this backward compatibility thing with the PC, you kind of have to be x64, right? Like for 100%, for it to actually just work, right?
I'm
everywhere.
Presuming there was a plan. There was like, what's the story arc look like? This is like at some point it will be ARM. It's not now.
I do feel like there's still a future where ARM happens, and probably first on mobile, right?
Yeah.
That there'll be a mobile Xbox of some kind, like a Ally device or whatever they'll call it.
But the fact that we have Snapdragon out there and we have the laptops and getting more compatibility, it's like you need to knock those problems down a bit before you start committing to dedicated devices.
I mean, games are the final frontier for this. I mean, this is
totally.
But it's also kind of in Microsoft's wheelhouse. To me, like I keep saying, that one of the biggest strengths of the Xbox ecosystem is this backward compatibility stuff that they've done. They are promising that for this next gen console as well. Mm-hmm. They're promising improvements to it, which is kind of interesting. I kind of was of the thought that they were done with that. Like there were no new games to bring forward, but maybe that's going to change. There are features in Windows that are also in the Xbox Series X and S, Auto HDR, FPS boost, et cetera. We have Auto SR on the PC side. We absolutely should have that on the Xbox side. I mean, it probably will. It's the same thing, right? And there are going to be additional updates, coming later. So right now, I think they were just, look, we're doing it. This is what it basically is. We're not really talking about deep technical details yet, but it will not be going out to developers this year, which is not great, honestly. Hopefully we can kind of bridge the gap with better mobile gaming handhelds and then get this next gen console. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I love that there's going to be a new console.
Yeah, me too. And so this just happened. After the show, I'm going to have to go over this. I feel I probably am missing something. I hope I'm not missing something important. But yeah, Project Helix is powered by a custom AMD SoC, co-designed for the next generation of DirectX and FSR. They've been on DirectX 12 for about 25 years, by the way. Maybe we could rub that.
Yeah, but no, if you got it right, why do you want to change it? Right?
Well, because we're talking about, that's a good point, actually. Right. I mean, as long as it supports all the new technology. So one of the big deals in gaming for the past 5+ years, maybe 10 years, I don't know, ray tracing, right? Mm-hmm. They're describing the ray tracing performance and capabilities of this system as an order of magnitude leap. This was the thing that I think Sarah Bond was alluding to when she mentioned the next console and how it was going to be this major leap forward. I think that's going to be a big part of it. And then integrates intelligence directly into the graphics and compute pipeline. So that tells me things like, well, that's what Auto SR is. That's what FSR is, right? This is, if for some reason this thing has slowed to a crawl, we can actually lower the quality of the graphics, but you won't see it because it's upscaling and it looks beautiful, that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's it's good. Intelligence is a tough word because you think AI and you're like, I don't know. But we'll see. Anyway, this, like I said, this just happened. This looks so far like all good news. And then we're going to be able to see some of this in the Insider program pretty soon. There was some, I think there's an indication here somewhere that Xbox mode might actually be in some of the recent builds in the Insider program. But this one I have is on the dev channel and it's still called game mode here. So I don't see that. But this is a particularly good laptop for games. And this one has an NVIDIA GPU. I would definitely use the Xbox full screen experience on this just to see if I can detect a difference, in frame rate, quality, whatever.
We're still a ways away.
I know. But it's good to have some good news.
Man.
Yeah, it's good to have good news. I think that's
all the Xbox.
That's all the
If those announcements hadn't come out of GDC, I don't think you would have much of an Xbox section.
I know.
Yeah, well, we had the little name reveal. It's going to run Windows game, and then the Satya Nadella thing. But yeah, today, more details.
People were saying that because it's running Windows games, that is it really even a console? It could just be like a Steam machine. That Steam.
Well,
box, right?
Okay, so every Xbox except for the 360 was a PC,
right?
But it was a PC that couldn't run Windows games,
right?
And it's like, and look. You can make the case for that, especially 20 years ago or 25 years ago now, I guess, when the first console came out. I do think we're at the point now we're leveraging the strength that is the game market on Windows. Makes so much sense.
Oh,
whatever this next thing is called, eventually the Project Helix is a Windows PC, right?
Right.
Now they're optimizing the software as they always do. But they're adding the ability to run its Windows, and it's going to run Windows games. That's why I'm wondering
if this was as much a response to the Steam machine as anything else, right?
I think it's a response. So the way I would phrase it is Microsoft's biggest success in gaming, is on the PlayStation. No, I'm just kidding. Is in Windows, right? And if you look at the way the market kind of breaks down, whether you're looking at unit sales for devices or software titles or whatever it might be, or time spent playing games. The PC is there are a lot of developers who are like, this is the marquee platform. Like, we're going to start there and then we're going to port to these consoles or wherever else, or mobile even. Mm-hmm. And doing this for Xbox makes it's just automatic.
Yeah.
You have like 100% compatibility. It's the smartest thing in the world. This is the strength that Microsoft can leverage if they're going to make hardware.
Right.
So,
but will it run Steam?
I don't think it will be open enough of a platform.
Yeah, so it's really not a PC. It's just going to have game.
Well, it's like a curated PC-based experience, maybe is the way to think of it, without knowing all the details, right? Because I could be completely wrong about most of this. But
did they indicate any concern about? The Steam machine's been delayed because of RAM prices.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
Did they?
No, and look,
components.
No, because with the first dev box is not going out until next year, which, by the way, could be late next year, right?
Right.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about RAM because RAM might not be a concern by then.
Yep.
You won't need RAM by then.
Right. Everything will be stored in crystals. It's going to be great.
Yeah. But also, the Xbox team has been building machines for decades, and this is a new venture for Gabe and the co. So I think they're in a different place in the pipeline too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for Steam Machine to make any sense, or any of their stuff, Steam Deck, whatever, they had to get that. I think they actually do call it Prism or whatever their compatibility, their kind of line-based Windows game compatibility layer had to reach a certain level of quality and compatibility, which it has, right? So they've done a good job with that.
So it'll run under an emulator. It won't.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But as long as, again, they have similar technologies where they can do auto SR type things there as well, right? Sure. So you can run a Windows game under an emulator, lower res, but it still looks great, plays full speed, whatever. Who cares? It's just that enables them to have a hardware play. Because otherwise they would say, well, just make your games for Linux, and no one would,
right? Right.
So they kind of coming at it. Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, I think from the opposite direction as Xbox.
Yeah, it is. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right, back of the book is just around the corner, but now it's a time to beg your money, your forgiveness, beg your tolerance. It's time for Club Twit. Yes, that's what keeps this show alive and all the shows we do. 30% of our operating revenue comes from you, our listeners, our club members. I like that. Honestly, I want it to be 100%. If we're up to me, it'd be 100%. When we first started Twit, that was the idea. We wouldn't take advertising, but that didn't seem actually turn out to be very practical. So we did. But thank goodness we have the club, because it started when COVID happened and advertising disappeared a little bit. And we thought, now maybe with the help of Patreon, we use a Patreon company called Memberful, we can maybe make this work. And, it's worked pretty well. I'm really glad. We get about, I'd say 1.5% to 2% of our audience is members of the club. If we get that just a few percentage points more, we actually could forego advertising. Here's the deal. If you join the club, $10 a month, you do get ad-free versions of all the shows. I am not one of those people who wants to charge you money and put ads in front of you. It's one or the other. So if you don't like ads, there are too many ads, or you just want to support Twit, join the club. There's also a lot of special programming. You get access to the Club Twit Discord. And in the Discord, we do a lot of stuff. We have, that's the wrong screen. Let me put this screen up. There you go. In the Club Twit Discord, we have the coming up, actually tomorrow, Cindy Cohn is going to join us. She has a new book, Privacy's Defender, My 30-Year Fight Against Digital Surveillance. She's EFF's executive director and a legend. I'm really looking forward to getting to spend an hour with Cindy Cohn. That's tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And this is a good example of something that, we used to do triangulation and, frankly, it was hard to get advertising for. So we thought, I'll keep doing it, but I'll do it in the club with the support of the club members. And that's you. That makes it possible. Friday, we're doing our AI users group. Normally, we would do that on the first Friday of the month, but we're doing it this Friday because I was out of town. I can't wait. I'm not sure what we're going to do. Larry, are you going to have something for us, or Darren? Or we have so many really smart AI users, and of course our own Anthony Nielsen. So I'm sure we'll find something interesting to do. That's this Friday. What else is coming up? Let me just look. Oh yeah, NVIDIA's conference GTC starts on Monday, and Jensen Huang always gives interesting keynotes. They're about to announce something I think kind of interesting, a vibe coding tool of their own. I will be very interested to see what Jensen announces. So we're going to cover that. It starts Monday morning, the 16th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. You can watch Jeff Jarvis, Micah Sargent, and I will be doing that coverage of GTC, the keynote. Micah's Crafting Corners next Wednesday at Chill Place to do some crafts. He's doing a paint by numbers this time, which is really fun. Photo time with Chris Marquardt a week from Friday. You still have a chance to take a dazzling photo. Anthony Nielsen and I were going all over Kennedy Space Center looking for something dazzling, and we found quite a few things. And then Jet Set with Johnny Jet is 2 weeks from tomorrow, March 26th. That's 2 p.m. We're doing that on the fourth Thursday of every month now. Johnny, my travel guru, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So we do that in the club. The Discord is fantastic because it's a place to get together with really smart, interesting people and talk about all sorts of interesting things. You get that. You also get the warm and fuzzy feeling, the knowledge that you're supporting what we do here at Twit. Oh, wait a minute. I have to put this up. Joe Esposito, who's our great artist in there. He doesn't do this with AI. He does it with Photoshop. Creates little ads for us. Club Twit is the future of the podcast network you love. Okay. Thank you, Joe. He takes vintage ads and pastes us into them. And he does such a great job. That's kind of fun. That's kind of the fun part of the club. Some really creative, interesting people in there. If you'd like to join, we'd love to have you. twit.tv/club twit, and thanks in advance. Now, to the back of the book we go. Paul Thurrott starts us off with his tip of the week. Paul?
So I wrote this as kind of an editorial with an eye toward talking to you guys about this, because people of our age, we were the first generation to have home computers, and home video games.
I was an adult by that time. I was in my 20s when I got my first PC.
Okay. Yeah.
Atari 800.
Nice. Yeah, that was a good one. There's a thing about that era, and it didn't end with Atari, Apple, Commodore leaving and whatever, PC, Mac. It's a little messier than that, but there was kind of an enthusiast DIY kind of quality to that early market that I really feel like we don't have today. The closest we've gotten to it in the modern era, I think, is the Raspberry Pi, right? Which does for what we now call makers, people that want to work with hardware devices and sensors and things, what we as budding or would-be software developers would have done with like the basic built into a Commodore or Atari device or later computers or whatever. To me, from a program, it's not just programming. I kind of approach the world from that perspective, but the last great thing like this, and you could draw a line from, the Commodore or the Microsoft Basic that was in all of those early devices, basically, to HyperCard, like on the Mac, to Visual Basic, first in DOS, but really Windows, until they .NETified it and frankly killed it, unfortunately, by making it too sophisticated or whatever. The notion that anyone, like as a normal human being, could go up to a computer and learn this stuff and use it and make things with it is wonderful. I feel like it's a thing that maybe AI will enable for this generation. Maybe it does seem like we're getting there, but I miss this, right? And not just because I'm old and I'm looking back. I don't mean it like that. Like I'm not like into nostalgia for nostalgia's sake or whatever. And I also am clear-eyed about the things that were bad, right? It's not everything was great. It wasn't all strawberries and cream back in the 1980s. It was mostly cocaine, really, but whatever. But I do feel like as this thing has matured, this thing being personal computing or personal technology, or whatever you want to call it, it's not like for us anymore, Like this is what enshittification is in the big tech space. This is when Steven Sinofsky wrote his big book about his history at Microsoft. He talked about how early versions of Office were really aimed at individuals who were enthusiasts, individuals who were just consumers. Eventually, it was for smaller businesses and organizations and just businesses. And they left behind consumers. And then it became this enterprise play where it's a subscription service with multiple tiers. And it's just this giant hairball of terribleness. And I wish there was something like those home computers, because one of the things that was interesting, like the Atari that you mentioned, the Atari 800, which came out 3 or 4 years before the Commodore 64, was, a miracle of technology. It was better than computers of that day. That's something that Commodore did, or Amiga did with the Amiga as well.
You were an Amiga. That was your first personal computer.
Well, it wasn't my first one, but it was,
What was your first?
So in the sense that people like us always have this conversation, what was your first personal, your first computer?
What was your first love?
I win this easily.
Oh, yeah?
I don't care who I'm talking to. I will win this battle. My first computer was the ECS Entertainment Computer System add-on for the Mattel television.
Was that a computer, though? Really?
Yeah, it had a basic language. Okay. And one of the cool things about it was that you could plug in a cartridge and access the sprites and other graphic assets on that cartridge to make your own games in BASIC.
Wow, there you go. It was
pretty cool.
Computer. Yeah.
My first real computer was a Commodore 64. At every step of the way, I always wanted something better, but couldn't afford the better thing. So I had a Commodore 64, not a Commodore 128. I had a Amiga 500, not an Amiga 2000. It's just kind of like my life, like the way it's always gone. But you know what? Those computers were incredible, and they were all better than other things of the day. So the best-selling, computer in 1987, 88, whatever, was an IBM PC or maybe a compact PC by that point, whatever it was, but it was PC. And those things were technically inferior. They just were. And that's the problem with the Raspberry Pi to me. If the Raspberry Pi was this $100 to $200 computer that somehow outperformed in some way, modern PCs, it would be like, wow. That would be like the home computer era of the 1980s, right? But it's not, and it doesn't mean it's still inexpensive and great. And I love that it exists. And I'm not really into the hardware sensor maker thing, but I do love that exists. I wish there was something though. Like I'm trying to understand, Commodore is back sort of like, so they have these new Commodore 64s. I do not want one of those. I love that they make it, but I don't want to go back to a bread box with a 40 column display. And, it's ridiculous. But I don't know. Can either of you think of anything that falls into that kind of enthusiast, like the actual magic of what this world was like in the very late 70s, early 80s? Like,
it's fragmented a little bit. I mean, we were talking yesterday about 3D printers, and there is that kind of same.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
Do it yourself.
This notion that you could, as an individual, print a part for a car that is no longer supported, or a device that, whatever it might be, in the future, you'll do this for, just to repair things, right?
Darren this is Oki, who is one of our regulars in the club, prints his own Crocs.
Nice. Wow. I'm sure they're very comfortable.
An economical way to make Crocs.
Well, but you will have a unique design. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of
interesting.
Funny.
Yeah.
What was your first computer, Richard?
RSAT Model 1.
Okay, so
4K RAM.
Yeah.
1977. First
That's
job.
The other. Yes.
Repairing those machines.
This is the other aspect of this early computer market that fascinates me. The what could have been moments, like how Amiga could have taken over the world, or the Tandy. The thing about the TRS, the Tandy model, the Tandy computers, was that they had this distribution network.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't believe
Radio Shacks. Radio Shacks were this wonder of, bins of little bits and metal pieces and cassette tapes.
I was in there buying parts when they got the machine, and then it distracted me from the parts.
Oh, interesting.
I was building an electronic rocket countdown timer because I'm the kind of lazy that can't even say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Like I literally.
But you're also the kind of person that would show up, like hang out at a Radio Shack. Yeah, and meet like-minded people.
I'm building a countdown counter for my rocket.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want that one. You want the Model 100. You want to. I was
I missed that. There was also that user group mentality. There was that early days of makers.
There were literal user groups, right? Which still struggle along today. There's still user groups out in the world, of course.
But mostly with gray hairs like us.
Yep, and that's the problem.
I have a buddy who reminded me at a dinner the other day, the first time we met was when I repaired his badly installed lowercase kit on his TRS-80 Model 1 in like 1979.
Wow.
That's when we met.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. What else what would you say, Richard? Is there a culture similar to that? I mean, I think they're still there. They're just more subcultures. There's not.
Yeah.
It's all different little.
And you're right about the 3D printing thing, but they actually lots of cool cultures. Right?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. It's
the mountain this part of the world, the mountain biking groups,
right?
And just they organize on the internet and so forth, but they're going out to ride places where the bears are. They
right.
I got hills around here.
But so the internet in many ways has kind of democratized access to information and so forth.
Finding the long tail.
In the early 1990s, I went to a video game store, and the company had bought some of the assets of some company that had gone out of business in California, and they had all these brand new Atari and Intellivision and Coleco cartridges in shrink wrap that had never been opened. It was in boxes. And when I first discovered this stuff, I was like, oh my God, like I still had an Intellivision at the time. So I was buying these things for $2 a piece, $2.50 maybe. And then, but the internet started happening. So through AOL, I could go onto these Usenet news groups and say, I have these cartridges I can sell you for $5 that I bought for $2 or whatever, or $10 or whatever they are, including some really rare ones. But that enabled me to reach this kind of bigger audience. It was great. And until they started charging me more because I was buying so many of them, and they were like, wait, this stuff is actually valuable. But then, the downside or the flip side of this is that the internet also enables every one of these little micro groups, right? So instead of like these big shared experiences that most people have or some large audiences have, you have these small experiences,
Right.
And so it's hard to find a single thing where you're like, we're all rallying around the Commodore 64 or whatever it might be, you have these little, instead of like 3 big groups, there are 1 million little groups,
Right.
It's an interesting problem. I don't know. I mean, I'm not calling for the end of evolution or anything, and I don't think that it was ever perfect at any point in time. We should go back to that. I don't mean it like that, but I do wish there was that sense of wonder to technology, because some of it is really wonderful.
Yeah.
But the companies that are providing this to us, by and large, are terrible, right?
Well, the expectations of the average young person wanting to play with a machine, because they already have a phone, right?
I know.
Like, how do you present them with a Raspberry Pi and a command line when they have an iPhone?
Or maybe think about it this way. Maybe when I saw, I can't remember what it was, either a VIC-20 or Commodore 64, but I was in a Sears with my mother, and they had these computers. I'd never seen anything like this, and I was like, instantly, I imagined what I was going to make with this thing, right? What I imagined was something I still could not make today, which was basically like a Star Wars type game where you're flying in some ship down the side of a giant ship that's going by you, and fighting things or whatever. But that's where my brain went immediately. I was like, I want this because I want to build something. I'm going to learn how to program this thing. I'm going to do this. So if I were to give my like a phone to a kid on their birthday or Christmas or something, or do they have that? Are those people around? Are there people out there now who are like, they see this technology thing? I just wonder if there's just too much of it. They don't think this way.
The 3D printer gets that reaction out of certain people where it's like, I know what I want to make.
And then
they're
others
gone.
become creators on TikTok. They're making videos, or they're. So I think there's a huge explosion of creativity among young people, but I don't think it's. It's not necessarily electronics as much as it was. We had Heath kids.
Robotics usually grabs them pretty hard too.
Robotics, very cool. And FIRST is still a thing at many schools.
Yeah.
I want it to be something that's not nostalgia or fake nostalgia, which is how I describe these hipsters who have to have vinyl records and iPods now and whatever other nonsense. And it's like, guys, there's a reason we moved past all of these things. Like the thing you don't remember because you weren't there and or just don't remember is these things were all imperfect, And whatever. Look, I've been, like all of us have been in this industry essentially our entire lives. Like we care about technology.
A lot of that energy got channeled into gamers. So the people who are gamers today probably would have been more like you, Paul. How can I write a game? Or more like you, Richard. How can I make music come out of my AM radio with this little dial?
Well, maybe AI does it though, right?
And I think AI is going to bring back some of that.
Make me a game.
Hacking creativity.
I have an idea for a game.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think it might be exciting for people if they understood they could make things.
There was this whole maker movement, which I wish it gone a little farther. Dale Doherty's a good friend, and there are still maker spaces in many communities, but and that's sort of bifurcated into the 3D printer crowd. But I don't think it's as big as
it probably can't be because there's so much of it, and because of this internet problem. If you had said to me 35 years ago, you can have news, but it will be the news you care about. It won't be the stuff you don't care about. You don't have to sit through the sports if you don't care about the sports. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But then you realize that all this has done is created these little silos where we all hate each other because you don't believe exactly what I believe. And I don't think this is a solvable problem.
The community was like that back then too. Like,
oh yeah,
you were an Atari guy.
100%.
You were not talking to a Trash 80 guy.
Yeah, that's Trumley too.
Vice versa. Like, you know what? It was terrible.
I've experienced this with sports, and I've definitely experienced it with technology. You grow up I grew up in Boston, big sports town, lots of good teams in the 80s, et cetera. So you have this kind of attitude about it. But then as you get older and you rewatch games from the past, maybe, or watch specials or whatever it is, you realize, man, that team from LA or from Chicago or from where else was excellent too. And you have a different level of respect for that stuff, and you're not this. Well, hopefully you're not. My brother's still like this. Actually, he's an idiot, but like a nonpartisan,
Homer.
a total homer, and
Yeah.
more of a like. I just love the sport, and I think the way I got into it was when the Patriots had that huge run with Tom Brady. We would watch football all the time, obviously. And when the Patriots were done and it was another team, I was always like, oh, thank God. Now I can just enjoy the game. I don't have to stress over who, I don't even care, And
Lisa's like that with
technology
the Niners now.
yeah. Technology is like that too. So I was a Commodore guy, hated Atari, but I've watched so many videos and read so many books and I know so much more about this stuff. And there were these incredible technical achievements or just wonderful things that happened on all these platforms. And they were all pretty excellent in their own ways. And
back in the day, we did have general purpose computing magazines like Byte, which we don't. It is now very much all niche stuff. I mean,
I just realized. So it's funny you mentioned Byte. So Byte was published by Macmillan. Macmillan was a sponsor of that Computer Chronicles show, which is fantastic.
Right.
I've watched a bunch of that in recent. Yes, sadly. It's a great show. But I'm not going to get this exactly right. But in the beginning of one of the episodes, it was like, Computer Chronicles is brought to you by Macmillan, the publishers of Byte Magazine. And it was like the magazine for people who love software, hardware, and programming. And I was like, oh my God, that's me today. I was like, that's an interesting way to, I mean, I might be off on how I describe it. It might not be that exact phrase, but it was those three things. And I was like, that. It's
pretty close. Yeah.
It was 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. But that thing.
It's 12.
Anyway. Oh, well. I don't know.
A little nostalgia. I like going down memory lane. I really do.
I do too, but I mean,
I feel like we're in the most exciting computing period ever now, to be honest. I think AI has really brought
okay. I mean, I will say tied to that, as I was growing up and as the late 80s occurred and then the early 90s, there were all these books being written about Apple, like because Steve Jobs had left, and about Microsoft and early history and all this stuff. And I was going to get into this industry and I was going to learn to become a programmer. And I really felt this sense of loss that I had missed out on this. The Genesis story never happens again, right? It's come and gone. It's never going to be that exciting again. But the thing that did happen was the internet, and it got exciting again. And so I was lucky enough by the mid 90s to be writing and publishing books and doing things and being part of it, a small part of it. But I mean, I was able to be there as it happened, not read about it after it happened, And with AI now, if anything, I feel like it's accelerating. It's rather insane. I mean,
I was mentioning on Monday, we're expecting, I think, might be a very big announcement from NVIDIA.
Right.
Their agentic platform. And,
I meant to say, I'm not happy with the GTC thing, but this will be a minor announcement for them in some ways, but they are about to come out with some kind of a ARM chipset thing within MediaTek.
Yeah. Their own.
You'll notice that Mobile World Congress came and went, and there were no Snapdragon X2 announcements. There were no ARM, NVIDIA, anything announcements, and so
they're holding on to it.
It has to happen soon. It's going to be the first half of the year. So
that NVIDIA thing was okay. So you've been doing well selling shovels. So and now you decided you need to dig some gold. Like what?
It's going to be called Nemo Claw.
They need a shovel adjacent something like Apple. They are to AI what Apple was to phones, right? So you have this one super explosive, successful thing, awesome. It's going to slow down eventually. What do you do next? Like you can't. It's not going to last forever. Like you have to do more, and we'll see if NVIDIA can make that happen. But not that long ago, that company was just about nothing.
Yeah.
And today they're just about everything.
And flying cars are coming this summer. So
goodness, how long are they
finally? and then after that, the paperless office. It's happening, folks. We did it.
We did it. We did it.
Oh man. All right.
All right. So that's your tip of the week.
Yeah.
Be nostalgic. Think back to the good old days.
Yeah. Now I'm going to look to the future. So I've been working on this series of kind of Notepad clones, having a lot of success, but also a lot of defeats, mostly lately because the Windows App SDK is so terrible. I've tried all kinds of AIs. I told you about the thing from last November where it kept making so many mistakes that I ran out of credits. like what? which is insane. But, and I had also said in the past, like, look, I would never pay for, I just said it today. I will not pay for AI. If I was a developer, I would absolutely pay for AI. And that's a different, it's just, that's stuff. Yeah, that's right. So there's different ways to go with this, but Stardock, the company that my friend Brad works at, which is run by Brad Wardell, another friend of a sort, a great guy. They make, Start 11, window blinds, fences, etc. Came up with I guess I'll call it like an AI kind of a front end. It's not just for developers. I have only used it for developer stuff. But in the sense like OpenClaw or is for agents, or Cursor was like a year ago. You can point it at a code base and it can help you with it, right? So you do code review, which is incredible. Literally to this point, and this has been a month and a half, maybe over a month anyway. It has never screwed me over, not one time. It has never created code that did not compile, which has been a huge problem with the GitHub Copilot stuff. It has fixed some embarrassing problems with my code base, including a couple of async issues, like I mentioned, which I can't understand because you always use async for file operations and what the hell. Anyway, I can't explain that one. But there are features I had in old versions of the app that were on WPF that I could not implement in the Windows App SD because it's so hard. And it did those. It added new features I've just wanted to add. And this has gone so well that I finally decided, I don't know why, I kind of jumped the gun, but I was like, look, I want to build the thing I always wanted to build, which is that multi-document, multi-tab version of this app. I meant to have it build it from scratch just to see if it could and to see what it would look like. But it actually used my code base to do it. And it did it. God damn it. It did it. And it's wonderful. And part of the reason it's wonderful is because I had actually solved the architectural issue of managing the state of multiple documents and tabs, but over a year ago. It's just that the Windows App SDK is so terrible that this is a hard thing to explain. I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you think about switching between tabs in an app and maintaining the state of whatever it contains, in WPF, there are events that fire before you switch. And in Windows App SDK, they only have events that fire after you switch. So it's actually very easy to lose state. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it took what I did. It fixed it. It spit out a version of this app. This, I swear to God, this kills me. I'm just going to mention one more thing about this because this kills me. There were things, I started working on some version of this app, starting with Visual Basic, by the way, several years ago. So I'm going to say 7-ish years ago. I don't remember. I've made multiple versions of it over time. So Windows Forms with the VB, Windows Forms with C#, Windows Forms with C#, and then at the time, modern like .NET Core versions. I did Universal Windows, what do you call it?
UWP. Yeah.
UWP version. But the best version I ever did was WPF. It was fantastic. But one of the things dating back to literally V1, if you look at Notepad today, if you look at, like, this is just an esoteric kind of, there's two things. In the bottom right of the corner, it says UTF-8, which is an encoding format. This is kind of the modern text encoding format, but it supports multiple formats. And it also says Windows CRLF, like carriage return line feed.
Right.
And this is a line ending format. So Windows, yes, but Notepad supports multiple line ending formats, I call them, I guess, and then encoding formats, right? Dating all the way back to literally ANSI. I'm pretty sure you could create an ANSI text file in this thing if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but anyway, it's good because it can import those files, right? Mm-hmm. You could read everything. I was never going to figure that out, ever, ever, ever. I looked into this. It's deep, archaic. It literally dates back to the early versions of Win32 and the Windows SDK. Yeah. And I worked on this several years ago, and I was like, no, screw this. And I could justify it by saying, look, no one using this is ever going to do anything but UTF-8 and Windows line endings,
and
right?
CRLF.
So who cares? But I asked this thing to make an app that had all the features, and God damn it, it freaking supports all the encoding formats and the line endings.
It's very well documented. The tool is going to be great at that.
God damn it. Like, what the... That's incredible. Like, that's incredible.
You're disappointing the Uno guys. I had them on the show the other day, and they were desperate to help you with your app. And now you've fixed it all with
Collab. Oh, no. I'm one of my next steps will be making it cross-platform with Uno. I'm absolutely doing that.
Those guys are great. You should definitely.
They are great. They're the best. No, they're if anything, they're too great. They're so nice. They were Jerome or one of those guys. It was like. He's like, just send us the code. We'll put an engineer on it. I'm like, what is wrong with you? No, this is like a hobby. Please don't do that. But this has enabled me to get over this, right? So I've restarted it, the project, and so you can imagine like 3 instances of Visual Studio running, right? So the new app, my old app, and the app that it created, right? So I can go and I can see how it took the class, the model they would call it, that I created to manage state and extended it to support, by the way, the line ending and the formatting, the encoding rather, because those are part of that document that's in each tab, right? Because they could be all different. And so it actually manages that state as well. I've never seen anything like this. This has never not worked properly. One of the things that I didn't think worked that it did was it added AI-based writing help tools, right? And I was like, I can't get this to work. And it also said to me, I swear to God, it's like, here are 4 possible implementations. We recommend doing 2 of them. And in this case, it meant you can use Olama, which is a locally downloadable SLM, and as a fallback if you don't have anything else. Or you can have Gemini. If you have an API key, you can paste it into settings. You can use that. And I couldn't get it to, I was like, I installed a Llama. I'm like, this isn't working. And I was failing. And then it said, it was like, look, we're going to change the error message so we understand what's happening better. And is that okay? I'm like, yep. And then it did the thing. And it came up and it said, yeah, you don't have the Olama model installed. You have the Olama app installed. And I was like, what the? And then I installed the model, which it did for me.
Nice.
And it worked.
It's here to help.
It's incredible. If I was a developer, I would pay $200 a month for AI. There's no doubt about it.
I'm not a developer.
It would be the greatest gift.
Running
so
multiple
cool.
simultaneously.
It's so justifiable.
Yeah, I think so.
The productivity is astonishing.
I cannot. Anyway, so I recommend people look into this tool. Clairvoyance is magical. Mm-hmm. It also works for like the co-work type things where you can make a game. You can, in fact, like a beta. It has all these sample projects you can do. It will generate on the fly. And so I was like, yeah, make a video, make a asteroid. It makes this perfect asteroids client. And I'm like, oh, fucking, it's unbelievable. But you could also use it for productivity type things. Like Brad's daughter uses it to make flashcard tests for an exam she's going to have or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's going to enable people to do that kind of vibe coding based personalized app thing as well. Like I'm using it very specifically for software development, but it's rather incredible.
Do they say what models they're using?
So that's up to you. And I should have said that up front.
It's just a harness for.
Yeah, I should have. Okay. Yeah, so I use it with Anthropic Cloud. I have the Pro, the $20 a month thing. So you just plug it in, but it can work with anything. You can use it with Gemini if you want. You can use it with Copilot if you're that mental. It's still on a wait list, like its preview. It's there. I think it was Leo mentioned earlier in the show. He was talking about how sometimes you almost just have to reboot or reset the thing because it kind of loses its place. And I think, and of course that passes through, right? So every once in a while, it's like, yeah, you're not looking at the right thing, and you just restart the app, and it's like, oh, here we are again.
Yeah.
And it does a really good job at that kind of thing. It does a really good job at everything. I've never used an AI like this that has it's never caused a problem. It's never. I can't say
disturbing.
It does. This is why people believe this stuff is magic or godlike, right?
Yeah, I mean, when it does it,
when you
works,
see it actually do this, it's like, oh my God, like and especially because I've experienced so many failures, that helps because, well, I mean, I didn't want to go through that, but I mean, having done that and going into this kind of gingerly, and sort of also feeling like every 6 months or 9 months, there's this new flavor of the month in AI, like, Cursor had their moment in the sun like a year ago, whatever, mm-hmm. and thinking like, well, things are going to change again. And I don't know, but I cannot believe how well this works.
So you need to have an Object Desktop subscription.
Well, that's one way to get
But it's
into it
not
right away.
expensive.
No, you don't need to have one.
You don't?
If you
Okay.
do have one, you can get it right now.
Okay.
If you don't have one, it's just free, but you have to. It's a wait list for now because they're still iterating through, or it's still early in some ways. But it makes these. They call them exhibits, but it's basically like it looks like a slide from a slide deck, which shows you all the options. Like, because one of the great things you can do is say, I want to do this thing. Like I said, with the AI writing tools, I did this for also recent files implementation, like a menu with recent files and how to store that. It came up in that case with so there's these cards with the 5 versions, the pros and the cons of each, difficulty rating of each, how far do you want to go? And then a recommendation about the one that it recommended, which was the first one, was exactly how I had already started implementing this in a different version of the app. And I was like, yeah, no, do this. And it worked perfectly the first time. It just worked.
It looks like kind of their version of co-work,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll see where this goes, but as of right now, I'm paying for Anthropic and I'm not paying them anything.
Right.
And it is
Did
astonishing.
was Brad involved in this, or?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He's been talking to me about this for months. He's really excited. This could be a completely different direction for this company.
Yeah, no kidding. This is very different from what they normally do.
Yeah, it's cross-platform. Yeah.
Did they vibe code it? I bet they did.
I think parts of it maybe, but Brad Wardell is an astonishingly good programmer, and they're programmers. I mean, there's a whole, I don't know, team of people or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I at some point you use the thing to make the thing, if that makes sense, right? When did C# become?
Even Claude and OpenAI are doing that now.
Yeah, exactly, right. So once a tool like this improves to the point where you can use it to help make that tool,
right?
I think you've crossed a very interesting milestone.
Right. Interesting.
Anyway, you can't just, unless you do have an object desktop, you can't just go get it right now, but
because they're in alpha.
But get on the wait list, and I think people are going to be blown away by. Well, I know they are. It's incredible because he was very excited and he showed me like remote demos, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I started doing it, and I'm like, I'm going to run. I've run into problems. I know exactly where the problem is going to occur. None of those problems occurred. None. Like none.
Right.
It's astonishing.
AI workspace where agents work as persistent staff across your projects.
Oh, that's the other thing.
So this is a harness, and it
supports multiple agents. Right.
Really
I called my agent Brad, of course, because I like the idea of working on it. You can also do things like where it's an interactive, chat experience. Obviously, like it's multi-threaded in the sense that you can give like new directions to go do other things while it's doing a thing, and you can see the agents kind of start over on the side, and it's like it's rather impressive.
This is an explosive area. Mm-hmm. This is the year of the agents, basically. And
this is, I think, for this, when I talk about how people will have an aha moment with AI, this could be it for a lot of people, this type of thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be clairvoyance. It is for me, but this is the type of thing where
you're going to have a moment.
It didn't just correct like the spelling of a word. It created a thing, and you're like, okay, so that was impossible, or that was something I was never going to do on my own. Mm-hmm. And in my case, it's happened. You could just go back and read the articles, but I think there were 20-ish instances of things where I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to solve this problem. And it just did them all in like a day. I mean, did them all immediately, and then I did them. I went through them, and I was like, how? I keep waiting for it to screw up.
Yeah. I have a friend with the 6 Anthropic Max accounts who's now configured his phone so he's just looking at the results of each of the agents and then telling them what they did wrong and what to do next.
That's more than $1,000 a month he's spending.
Yeah, but he's knocking out 6-week sprints in less than a week.
Yeah. I mean, if this is your job, it's
probably causing the tornadoes in the Midwest right now, but it's fine. It's fine.
He consumes enough tokens that Anthropic calls him on a regular basis and goes,
That's the other, well, I don't want to get too deep into this, but the way it consumes tokens on your behalf is fascinating because it actually tries to save you. Like it will do things in a way that will save tokens. Like,
there's things you can do.
It tells you
like
that, and it's like,
prompts and stuff.
That's kind of cool. Like it's neat. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been babbling, but it's really exciting.
The real question for a lot of people is, this is true of OpenClaw as well, is it Claude? Is it Opus 4.6 that's really the impressive thing, or is it the harness?
All right, so I'm sorry. I've written several articles about this, and I'm trying to condense this into like a 10 or 2,000 minute conversation. But I did start using just Cloud directly, and it ran into the same kind of problems that I was having before. Yeah. It was better, but there's something about using this with that.
Yeah, you can improve on it for sure. Yeah,
it put it right over the. It's not even close. Like it's a huge difference. Yeah,
I'll have to try it. We have a few more minutes to go on the show. Coming up in about 15 minutes, it is Guy Kawasaki's going to be our guest on Intelligent
Really?
Machines.
Oh, my God.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Speaking of early books from the computer industry, and those are like The Macintosh Way.
Yeah, that's right.
A bunch of books about marketing and stuff I don't care about too much, but an amazing individual.
He just wrote a book on Signal, and we're going to talk about using Signal to protect.
I follow him on Substack, I think.
Big Signal fan, but I hang around with too many security people. It got me. I couldn't talk to him if I didn't use Signal.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And actually, Apple's 50th anniversary is April 1st. So the day before that, David Pogue will join us to talk about his new book, 50 Years of Apple, which just came out yesterday, and that'll be on MacBreak Weekly. So if you're an Apple fan, it's a banner month. But if you're not, Run As Radio has something for you.
We don't hate Apple on Run As Radio. It's every so often we have to manage them.
Ambivalent about it.
It's just another piece of hardware to manage. Although I remember saying I did a show talking about group policy and Active Directory, and the fact that it was becoming actually easier to manage non-Windows devices. Like if you had a Windows device, things were harder because it was all this archaic management rules that, Intune and the new approaches to group policy are much simpler on.
Nice.
But that was not this conversation. I just counted up. This is the 17th appearance on Run As Radio for Bob Ward. Admittedly, he's done a bunch of panels over the years. But I can't talk about more regular than Bob for just what do you want to know about SQL Server? He's been the advocate in that space forever. He runs the Microsoft Data Group, is an architect. Like he's the guy to talk to. He knows his stuff, and he's a pleasure to talk to. Though admittedly, we got distracted for a minute there talking about being granddads. I got some nice comments on that. It's like, congratulations. So
nice.
But what we really were talking about was SQL Server 2025, which came in full release in the Ignite timeframe last year. And we finally got Bob on the show to go over that. And then a lot of conversation about some of the AI related features, like there's now a RAG vector store as a type inside of SQL servers, along with a bunch of other constructs. And then, of course, the infinite number of copilots that are related to SQL Server, both in SSMS and some other tools. And a great extension for Visual Studio Code if you need to work with SQL Server, make your life much easier with this new extension. So just a rundown of all the good stuff, as is you would expect from any show I do with Bob Ward. We're going to talk about SQL Server, and we're going to go deep.
And as you might expect on any show we do with Richard Campbell, there will be whiskey.
There will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in Canada, so it's going to be Canadian whiskey. Hooray! I've talked with the Sons of Vancouver was such a hit. I was so happy about this. So I was looking for some other craft whiskeys. Well, this is not that crafty in the sense of it's not brand new. This is the distillery is called Highwood, and it is actually in a town called High River in Alberta. So next province over. It's about 45 minutes drive south of Calgary. It's also about that same distance from the Rocky Mountains itself, but that would be due west. Today, that town's about 15,000 people, although there's been people living around there literally for centuries, possibly millennia. The Blackfoot First Nation's been in that area, and of course stretches down into the U.S. and so forth. European settlers don't show up in that part of the world till 1877, which is after Confederation, right? Which is 1867. It's named, of course, for the Highwood River. And of course, the town is built at the ford at the river they call the crossing. So back in the day, without a lot of technology, you're driving your cattle around. This is where you go through. So naturally, a town conglomerates around there, although just a small one. Right? Calgary is a multi-million person city, or 1.5 million. And Highwood's just 10,000, 15,000 people. This part of the world is considered what they call humid continental for the climatologist type. So this is mild and warm summers with very cool nights, even in the summertime. And the winters are cold and snowy. They average about 70 inches of snow most years. Southern Alberta is notorious for hitting negative 30s and negative 40s at certain points in the wintertime, but then also having a warm wind they call a Chinook. So, but different style of life. You're at higher altitude, not like the coast life that I have. And they're going to make whiskey there. So Highwood Distillers was founded in 1974. So that makes it an old distillery. Normally a distillery that old would have been grabbed up by a conglomerate by now, but they are fiercely independent, even though they've gone through a few different owners. So in 74, High River had about 3,000 people in a much smaller town. And then the original name was the Sunnyvale Distillery. So it was a group of investors out of Calgary. They hired a distiller from German to build a distillery. It was the only one in Alberta at the time, although today Alberta is a massive producer of whiskey and other drinks. They rebranded as Highwood in 84. And this particular whiskey that I've got, which they call the Centennial, was actually launched in 1996. As they grew, they moved their sales and marketing offers back up to the city of Calgary. So what's in High River is just the distillery facility and all of the storage and so forth. They acquired the only distillery in British Columbia in 2005, a distillery called Potter's Distillers, which was actually established in 1958, so even older than Highwood, by a guy named Harry Potter, no relation, who's from Langley, which is where my daughter lives right now with my granddaughter. And then it was passed on to a guy named Harold John Cameron Terry, because he was Australian. So you get names like that in 1962, who moved it. And then in 1990 to Kelowna, and it became a thing called Cascadia Brands, which still exists to this day. While they do a little bit of distilling, they mostly blended other whiskeys. It's a very common practice for Canadian whiskey. And when Highwood acquired them, they largely stopped their production. In fact, they only produce, they're actually on the grounds of a large brewery called Granville Island Brewery. And they only make whiskey there 1 week a year to maintain their distiller's license. And other than that, they mostly do blends and things like that. That acquisition scaled up Highwood a fair bit. So they, in 2006, built additional facilities in High River, their major employer there. And then just recently, this distillery, the Highwood was acquired by another distillery, Caldera Distilling, another Canadian one. This is a guy named Jarrett Stewart, who was originally from Alberta, worked in the energy industry, got disenfranchised of that at one point or another, and decided to get into whiskey to the point where he actually went to the UK, to Rotherhithe, and studied at the Institute of Brewers and Distillers, and then chose to build a distillery, build Caldera, in River John, Nova Scotia. And he was making product back in 2013, all very local to the island, Newfoundland Island. And then a friend of his from the energy industry let him know that Highwood was available for acquisition. And so in 2022, they decided that Caldera would buy that and bind it together. And it's only been more successful than that. In fact, this whiskey that I'm trying today, the Centennial, won the bronze medal in the Canadian Whiskey Awards in 2024. So we're talking about a 40 plus, almost 50-year-old distillery that's still not part of a big conglomerate. It's been around for decades. It's very rare. They also make a huge array of products. Whiskey is not their primary product. They mostly make vodka. Well, premixes are their largest business, then vodka. Whiskey is only about 20% of the business.
What's a premix?
This is your whiskey cocktails in a can.
That comes in a can.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they make a bunch of vodka and they make a rum and a few other things as well. All that stuff that's easy to produce, but premixes pay very well. They're cheap to make, and you make them in quantity.
It's like owning a bar.
So that's how you can. And it's only about 30 employees. It's not a huge place, but they make money. Yeah. Their distilling approach is very interesting. They do not do any distilling of corn. Most of their whiskeys are wheat and rye. They do occasionally use corn spirit, and I strongly suspect there's corn spirit in this whiskey, but they buy it from other producers because it's easy to come by. They also, because they're working with wheat and rye, no barley, they don't do any malting, but they do use pressurized mash tun, which is very unusual. So they have a mash tun that will actually cook under pressure. So you load about 2,500 kilos of grain, that's 5,500 pounds, with 12,000 liters of water, about 3,200 gallons. The water does not come from the river, it comes from a well. and then they cook it under pressure to break to turn it into a kind of porridge. Produce about 14,000 liters of mash. And after they cool it down, then they add the enzymes. So that's a biological process to convert the starches into sugar. And then they do a very long fermentation that results in about a 12% beer. That's high. Normally, you look at about 8 or 9%. In their documentation, they say they distill in a beer still, but you would call it a column still and raise it to about somewhere between 70 and 75%, which is a very high pass. And then cut it down again and redistill it in a pot still. So they cut it down with water to 40%, then run it through a pot still back up into the 70s. Also, which is common in Canadian whiskeys, not common in other places, the wheat and the rye are distilled entirely separately and only meet in the mixing vats before they go to barrels. And it seems likely, and you'll see when we talk about the price for what they call the Centennial, they probably put some corn spirit in it as well, or basically neutral alcohol. They go into the barrel at 72%. That also is very high. And in the case of Centennial, this is ex-bourbon barrels. Normally you'd go into about, the Scots go in at 63.5, so 72 is pretty darn high. But you're talking about Southern Alberta, so the humidity there is pretty low, which means they don't give up any angel share. They tend to lose more water than alcohol. It is common after 3 years to come out of the barrel at 75%, having gone in at 72. Now, I want you to look at this bottle. Notice it says Centennial on it. Nowhere on it does it say 10 years old. And there are rules, right, in Canada for an age statement. If you're going to put a 10 on it, it's because the youngest thing in that bottle is 10, same as the Scots, same as the Americans too. It's not on there. Although the website says 10 years old. It is called Centennial, which makes me wonder. Is it actually 10 years old? I don't know the answer to that for sure. People are pretty comfortable with it. The website itself, like the URL that I'm providing here, highwooddistillers.com's Centennial 10-year-old Canadian rye whiskey. But the primary grain in here, I haven't been able to find the actual mash bill, mostly wheat. The rye is kind of a flavor grain. So no sharp nose is only 40%, so no big buy on there. Boy, it drinks nice. It's not that, it's a little sweet. I would bet there's corn in this, even though they don't say it anywhere in the documentation. But the reason I'm sure it's not just straight 10-year-old wheat and rye is this is a $25 bottle of whiskey. $25 Canadian. So that's maybe $20 in America if you could find it. That is really a very reasonable price for a whiskey that drinks so nice. Nice enough, I think it'd be a sin to make this into a cocktail, and it's a $25 bottle of whiskey.
Wow.
And that seems to be the statement from most people who try this, is like, this is magic.
Really?
Because they've got a really curious distillation process. It's kind of strange. And yet they've done a great job. They make a bunch of other additions, but this one, people say great things about it, and I can see why. Like it's very drinkable. It wins awards for a reason, but it's almost so cheap you can't believe it's true. It's mostly Canadian winter wheat, soft winter wheat with rye added. But I think the only way you get down to that price is they probably got some corn spirit in it. But I don't care. It's good. It's maybe a bit of a cheater, but boy, oh boy, it drinks nice. So I don't know why you'd be unhappy with this.
Very nice. Can you get it in the U.S.?
Wasn't able to find it at the Bev Mozilla or any of those sorts
Once
of things.
again, he's teasing us.
The production is so low here, right? They're not really a craft distillery. They're not a little guy per se, but they just don't produce
30
that
people is not very, very big. Yeah.
They're not, you want millions of liters, you go up the road to Alberta Distillers, one of the biggest in the world. Right. These guys have stayed independent for a reason, in a little town for a reason. They only make so much.
Now, how is their sweet sipping maple whiskey? Because that sounds pretty good.
Lots of people talk about it.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
It comes in a maple leaf bottle.
They're not even spirits. They come in at 25 to 30%.
You could dunk one of those maple candy things into it as you're drinking it.
Practically is 25%. That's nothing.
Yeah, that means it's not a spirit per se. It's kind of you know what? That's probably not exportable. because you don't know how to categorize it. Right? It's too high to be a malted beverage.
Right.
It's too low to be a spirit. It's an orphan.
It sounds good, though.
Yeah, no. And people say great things about it.
And I love the bottle. All right. Well, we're going to have to.
Like, that's where you usually, that's like a maple syrup bottle, right? When I want to buy maple syrup at the duty free, that's what it's going to be in.
It is. It looks like that. Well, now I know what I want to do when we come up and visit you in Vancouver. I want to try.
Oh, I think we're going to Sons of Vancouver first and foremost.
Oh, absolutely.
Amaretto sours.
Absolutely.
That place
Thanks.
is fantastic.
Thanks once again for the bottle of old number 82 Amaretto.
Yeah. Amaretto.
And once again, thank you for an excellent edition of Windows Weekly. You'll find Richard Campbell in British Columbia for a few days more. Where are you going next?
I'm home next week. And then,
good.
The MVP Summit, which, if you remember last year's MVP Summit, how did I get 8 bottles of whiskey? It was something insane. I don't know
Where
what's
is
gonna
that
happen.
held?
That's in Redmond, Washington. It's at the headquarters. Yeah.
People know where to find you, though. That's the key.
Not hard to find.
Bring him whiskey.
I will put it on the show,
will be
I
well.
promise.
Richard's also found at on the internet at runisradio.com, where you'll find Run As Radio and .NET Rocks. And listen to the Geek Outs.
Well, we're
Special
sharing.
editions.
You know, one of the things we're doing at the MVP Summit this year, we're recording episode 2000 of .NET.
Wow.
Unbelievable. That's impressive. Paul Thurrott is at thurrott.com. And of course, you should become a premium member there. His books are at leanpub.com, including now there's 3 of them. Field Guide to Windows 11 with Windows 10 built right in. The Windows Everywhere book, and his newest, De-Inshittify Windows. Cory Doctorow was on Sunday, and I thanked him for the word.
Right.
Yeah. You will find them both here every Wednesday around 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. You can watch us live on YouTube, Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. Or, of course, in the Club Twit Discord. If you are a member, I hope you're a member. Please join us if you're not. Please, I beg you, please. After the fact, on-demand versions of the show available at twit.tv/WW. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to Windows Weekly. Great place to share clips with friends. That's another way you can support us, of course, by, spreading the word about the best darn Microsoft podcast in the world. And you can also subscribe in your favorite podcast client. You'll get it automatically that way. I guess that's all to say, except see you back here next Wednesday for another gripping edition of Windows Weekly.
Gripping like a stomach problem kind of gripping, or
like grip. Thank you, Paul.
the classic French grip.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.